All right, with it being after 7 o'clock, we will call the May 22nd meeting to order, and we will start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I got your chair.
Get my leg where it belongs.
I pledge allegiance.
Thank you.
You're in.
Getting like Flynn. All right, we'll start off with the minutes from the May 8th meeting.
May 8th, they're not ready.
They're not ready, so they don't even belong here. Okay, so we'll table those. Okay, certificate of compliance, we'll just skip one over here. NACC 240-505 Sutton Street, requested continued to June 12th.
So move.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 242-1050, 84 Sugar Cane.
So this is a reissue. Back in December, January of 2001, the commission voted to issue a certificate of compliance, but we cannot find it in the file. It's not recorded, so this is just an administrative reissue.
Right?
No question.
Jack?
None.
Al?
None.
John?
Nope.
Nope.
None.
Motion?
I move that we reissue.
Second. Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 242-1817, Osgood Street, Route 125.
This order issued in August of 2021 governed intersection improvements in front of Osgood Landing at 1600 Osgood Street. Roadway widening, signalizing, and other improvements. Notably, there was a retaining wall that was the closest element to the wetland for the widening on the right-hand turn into the property. Work is complete. Retaining wall is where it's supposed to be. Erosion controls are removed and the site is stable. The applicant has provided stormwater BMP inspection report that was completed by Stormwater Compliance LLC, and that was what I was waiting for. I have no outstanding issues. I know that we have Lang and Engineering here this evening if you have any questions, but I would recommend issuing a full and complete certificate of compliance with ongoing conditions.
Thank you. Brett?
Have record of the inspections been recorded in the operation and maintenance plan?
Say that again?
The operation and maintenance, we've talked about this before, the operation and maintenance plan in the back has an appendix where you're supposed to record all of your cleanings and schedule.
Yeah, I guess they kind of use their own form,
But it contains the elements of.
but it did.
If I can speak to that,
Speak to
the
that.
operation and maintenance plan has been recorded,
It
yes.
has been recorded in
Oh,
the,
recorded. Is
Yeah.
that what you
Yes.
meant?
Recorded,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry, yes. Okay.
I just want to make sure, we keep running into the fact that no one's recording these inspections within the manual that's provided with the inspection forms.
Yes.
So when we go to inspect it, we see it there. I love to hear that's there. No other questions?
Okay, sorry, I misunderstood.
Al?
No questions.
Sean?
No questions.
Joe?
Yeah, even though this was a roadway improvement project with, some, I think it was partly grant money, maybe not, but the applicant was the developer themselves, even though the improvements are on the right-of-way, state right-of-way.
Correct.
So the obligation for ongoing O&M still lies with the property owner.
That is correct. Actually, there's a little bit of a
hesitate.
dispute with that, or discrepancy, I should say, not dispute. But I believe that the order actually says that the Mass Highway Department, or Mass DOT, dating myself there, Mass DOT is responsible. However, the DOT permit says that Hillwood, the developer, is responsible for it, and Hillwood they are the ones who have contracted with stormwater compliance to perform the O&M, so they are taking responsibility for that, yes.
So as unclear as it might have been when the permits were fresh, in perpetuity, there's an obligation to maintain these functions and conduct inspections and record information on a regular basis. That lies with Hillwood, and that's clear, crystal clear.
Well, the permit, the Conservation Commission permit says that Mass DOT is responsible for it. Okay?
So we issue a compliance today.
Yes.
Who's on the hook for the next inspection?
Hillwood is completing the inspections.
Forevermore.
Correct.
Thank you.
So we should probably just,
We need to clarify
reflect
that.
that in the COC.
I actually have more faith in Hillwood actually doing it than the DOT.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, the sad thing is everybody knows why we should laugh. Because private people will do it. I'm all set, thank you.
No more questions, I have a motion?
Grant the COC for 242-1817 Osgood Street.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one is 242-1851, 26 Long Pasture.
Alrighty. This order issued in November of 2022 governed construction of an in-ground pool, associated grading, retaining wall, pervious paver patio, fencing, and pool equipment. Work is within the 100-foot buffer zone to an isolated wetland that contains a potential vernal pool, and all of the work respected the 75-foot no-build zone. The pervious paver patio functions as a stormwater infiltration, and O&M was approved for that. And Hancock, the engineer of record, provided a stormwater certification letter with this request. In August of 2023, the patio layout was modified, but it still remained outside the 75. The site is stable, erosion controls have been removed, wetland markers are installed. I do recommend issuing a full and complete certificate of compliance with ongoing conditions.
Brad? Al?
All set.
Just one question, Amy. Does the master plan that you have on file, are there elevations? That's what I'm saying.
No, this is what I have.
That's what you have.
So in terms of the paper copy, this is the same as the paper copy.
Okay. All right. Like I said, moving forward, I like to see elevations on the plan, because I like to see where the water's going. But, well, I'll forget this one this time.
Maybe spot grades on the patio.
Unless I can,
It's hard to read.
There are spot grades on the patio, but it's hard to put them in context to anywhere else on the site.
Big cost factor to do that. Put topo elevations on the plans.
Depends on if they're gonna turn those, so.
The plan they submitted for an NOI had to have, I think they just turned the layer off.
yeah, I think so.
I think they should turn the layer back on.
Because I would have saw that right away, so there's gotta be something with elevations.
The record drawing should have it.
That's what I asked, but.
Yeah, they had contours on the plan, spot grades.
Okay. All right, so like I said, moving forward, I'd like to see what elevations on these plans.
Yeah. And this
Sean?
Was the patio modification significant enough to warrant a modification request?
The commission reviewed it.
Okay,
Yes, oh, you guys saw it.
good, thank you.
Yep.
Joe?
Yeah, my, first thing that my eye focus on was, on an as-built, I just hate seeing potential vernal pool, but under the circumstances, they must have presumed it was a vernal pool and maintained the setbacks. So we still don't have any certification whether it is or isn't, but we do have separation of 75.2 feet.
That's right. I know.
Okay. I'm satisfied.
Motion?
Yeah, I'd love one.
All right, I move that we grant the COC for 242-1851, 26 Long Pasture Road.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 242-1752.
before we dive into this one, can we reconsider the language on that last approval? We're gonna still request the as-built plan with grades turned on, correct?
I don't think that's what he said. I think
That's-
he said.
Well, I would like them, I mean, if we can still do that?
Yeah, you can reconsider the
I mean,
motion.
is it an accurate and a complete as-built plan without those, is I guess the question. You raised a good point, but we didn't act on it.
Actually, the grades are required
So we could,
on a record drawing.
So I'm actually making a motion to reconsider the prior vote.
Okay.
Need a
Is
second
there-
to reconsider.
Sure, second.
So I'm waiting,
I think you raised the right point, and it's, we don't have a complete, and the only reason I say it, neither does this one. The as-built plan really should have those.
Yeah,
those
I mean,
grades
like
on
I
it.
said, this
I
one-
think it's a matter of turning them on.
yeah, well, I just do this one, yeah, because this one, grades could be going toward the vernal pool, and we don't know that. Or off-site, or into the wetlands. We don't know that either, but, okay.
So if we're discussing, let me offer this as a motion, that we issue a certificate of compliance, hold it in advance until such time as we receive an as-built plan with the grading, as-built grading shown on it.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
And that was for 242-1851.
Yes.
Right.
Now back to 242-1752.
Yes.
That's correct.
I think I've got one away. There it is. Okay. So with this one, we have, you got that one, Amy?
Yeah.
Turnpike Street.
yeah. It's gonna take its time. Okay. The order issued in April of 2019 governs construction of a play area for a proposed daycare center. Site improvements include vegetation removal, filling and grading, fencing and retaining walls, and stair construction. Work was to occur within the 200-foot riverfront area and 100-foot buffer zone to VBW. In December of 2020, the order was amended for the following: expansion of paved parking to create 9 new spaces, installation of new catch basins, milling and grading portions of the existing paved areas to improve stormwater treatment, restripe existing paved areas, installation of fencing and landscaping. This work was partially within the 25 and the 50, but all areas were pre-existing paved or developed footprints. The owner of the property attempted to secure a tenant for a daycare center, but that never happened. So the work for the play area never happened at the back of the property. So all that was done was the paving and the parking and the drainage in the front. The contractor, Hunter Group, provided inspection letters for the catch basins and the stormwater unit. And reps from Hancock said that they would be at the meeting. Okay, great. So we have Hancock here if you have questions for them. But otherwise, things seem to be in order, so request.
Thank you.
I mean,
Brad?
recommend it.
The stormwater network that was installed, it looks like we're connecting to an existing system, is that correct? Okay, good. I'm glad we,
Something behind the building was formed.
Very
Everything
good.
in between the building and,
Sir, excuse me, sir, could you speak into the microphone,
No one
please?
can hear you otherwise.
Certainly. Yeah, no work was done behind the building. Everything was between the building and 114.
very good. Glad to hear we didn't install that flared in within the wetlands.
Are you back?
I'm not. yeah.
Back, Connors? Okay.
I've got no further questions.
Jack?
I just have a comment specifically for Mr. Connors, that this certification letter is extremely good and one that we should strive to acquire in the future. Specifically, I further certify that these plans represent as-built condition in substantial compliance with approved design under the OOC DEP file number 242-1752. I just think that is a solid assertion that the as-built project is in compliance with the order. And we don't always get that clarity. I think we should strive for that in the future, so thank you.
You're welcome.
No other
Yeah.
All set.
This plan that's here in front, right here, is this the plan with the parking that they didn't put?
The plan that you have in front of you includes all the parking and the drainage in the front, but nothing is shown for what they were gonna do in the back for the play area. Because it never was done, so that nothing happened.
So all the work was between the building and Route
And the road-
114.
and 114.
In the back, what was proposed was a play area, but
Also, so where it says where the abutters are, that's where the parking lot was gonna go? Oh, okay, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. Okay, very good. I'm looking at it. I thought this was this area here was the building. Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Amy, when we have a project like this where some work was in the order of condition but it wasn't done, does that modify how we fill out the paperwork for the certificate of compliance?
Yeah, so in the certificate, I always,
Oh,
yeah, well, what I do is, in my list of ongoing conditions, I do a caveat at the beginning stating what was completed and what wasn't. Because, I mean, we're gonna issue a full and complete COC, 'cause
But to Sean's point, that's correct, is that if someone dishonest were to come in,
Yeah.
they could build the playground and say they got a certificate of compliance and say, well, that's what we previously
No,
did.
I hear you.
But we do have the ability to to flag out
Yes.
what was done and what
Yes.
specifically was not done.
right.
If there is no work done, is there a different box to check off to say no work was done? We
Oh,
issue a
if
COC
they-
that?
they-
Nothing's been done.
Yep.
Right.
There's actually a box.
Yes,
Yeah, that's what I
there
was
is.
thinking. Okay, thanks a lot.
Plus we were, I had talked to him about that. Any changes forthcoming?
Yep.
Will require a new filing.
Great. Thank you again.
Well, but I have to follow up on Joel's question. So I understand what we just approved, but we approved something that may never get built.
So we're going to accept and give it compliance on what was, and specifically flag out those things that were never undertaken.
Is that gonna be
and are
flagged on the record
excluded
drawing or
Yes.
in the narrative?
In the certificate
In the
itself.
certificate of compliance itself that gets recorded.
You're gonna attach a drawing with marked up?
I can do that,
Yeah, any changes will require a
I mean,
separate
that,
filing.
if we're gonna go that far,
yeah.
put the extra piece of paper in and highlight it, I think. And that's all I got.
Yep. Right, there's no more questions? Motion?
You all set, Joe, or you still have to say?
No,
Oh,
I
sorry.
am all set. I had made a statement that probably scared the applicant a bit, that this doesn't have any topo on it, but what you did in fact do is the paved areas, and you have spot grades at every single corner.
Correct.
And intermediate, and it's all within
Yep.
less than a fraction of a contour interval, so yeah,
Right.
basically you've got the contours.
Yeah, so it's, like I said, if we had done work behind, we would have also as-built that area behind. But everything was, I'm sure everybody's driven by this property at some point in time. It's got a little pump station on the left, and basically, a lot of the work was just redoing what was already there and expanding some parking areas, so.
So I have no other questions, so I'm all set.
I move that we grant the COC for 242-1752, contingent upon, actually, that's it. Yep.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Okay, small project. NACC number 325-96 Thistle Road.
Alrighty. This project entails installation of a 10-by-10 shed in existing lawn at the backyard of 96 Thistle Road. At its closest point, the shed will be approximately 79 feet from the wetland resource area, along, in front of a chain link fence located at the backyard of the property. The lawn is relatively flat, but will be completely leveled for the shed with pea stone. The applicant proposes to install straw wattle erosion controls along the limited disturbance, which would basically be right up against the fence. And the proposed location complies with building zoning setbacks and is out of the 50-foot no-build zone. And so they are coming under Section C. Sheds or other outbuildings, 100 square feet or less, which are to be placed on footings, not permanent foundations, but this will be on pea stone, so. I measured the wetland distance myself, confirmed that, and that's the project in a nutshell.
Thank you. Brad?
Looks like we're doing everything right, no questions.
Jack?
Did you verify the wetland line location?
I did, yep.
No question.
All set.
John?
Any conditions, Amy?
Yeah, it didn't show up, did it?
Well, it says quoted, texted.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened.
Post-construction.
Let me see.
You're pretty much.
Straw wattle, erosion controls.
Install straw wattle erosion control stake between the limited disturbance and the wetlands. Pre-construction meeting to inspect the erosion controls and discuss the project, and a post-construction meeting to verify compliance and approve removal of erosion controls.
So those three conditions.
Yep.
Joe?
So, you had said something during the presentation that I never considered on a small project, in that it complies with all zoning. Now, how do we know that? When this gets flagged up through a form use circulation, so
Yes.
so building inspector's already looked at it, and he's already
Yes.
reviewed it from the zoning perspective.
Yes.
So by the time it
Yes.
gets to us, we're already sure that that
Right,
has happened.
Right.
Okay.
And that's one thing that we had to, because I was actually trying to find a spot outside the buffer for it, but then that conflicted with the zoning setbacks, so then then she shrunk the shed location to get, where it needed to be and still be a small
Yeah,
project.
well, we
so.
went through that because I
We
was
did,
wondering.
we
if-
went through that
So
exercise.
with a small project, if had that not happened.
Right.
We probably should add a phrase in there about, not extending any property rights beyond, like we do on a lot of
Right.
normal ones.
Right, right.
But it sounds like it went through that first.
Yes, it did.
I'm all set.
Yep.
I've also talked to the building inspector on these small projects that are just doing redecking, or they apply for that. The building inspector was out there and sees like it's gonna require more extensive renovation. He'll notify Justine and Amy to come out there and look to see if they have to file for an
It's
RDA.
not redacting, this is a
It's
foundation
not-
and new
it's-
posts. Yeah, he'll
right.
tell us that.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
all right. So we need a motion.
I move that we grant the small project application for NACC 32596 Thistle Road under subsection C with the three conditions articulated by Amy.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, next one. Oh, this is a continuance. ANRAD for 2/4/2/1889, request to continue till June 12th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. I'll get these NOIs out of the way. 2/4/2/1885, 416 Abbott Street, request to continue till June 12th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Next one is 2/4/2/1887, 156, 172 Chestnut Street, request to continue till June 12th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Okay, back on top, 2/4/2/1876, 492 Sutton Street.
Alrighty. So we've had 3 rounds of peer review done. we have our third and hopefully final peer review letter that Bobrek has provided based on Stantec's second round of comments and adjustments based on last meeting's discussion. The commission had asked for more modeling of the section of stream between what's the subject for this notice of intent and what was relocated for the runway project. They used HydroCAD, but did some tailoring for roughness coefficient and all that, so that ended up resulting in this revised plan, which raised the berm on the south side of the stream. And Bobrek believes that the applicant has addressed their comments and met the goals of this notice of intent for this section of stream. And still recommends that the section that isn't being touched be updated in the near future under a separate filing. Airport representatives are here this evening if you have follow-up questions.
Thank you. Right?
So our third-party review settled. What is the slopes within that blue circle area? Are we at 3 to 1 or no? 4 to 1. 4 to 1. Now, these situations, I would rather see the head-grass modeling, but it sounds like we did a similar analysis, so I think I'm all set.
Jack?
Just one question, and it's something that may be unresolved, is the maintenance of the stream connecting to the previously redirected stream. Do we have any resolution on that at this?
Yes, as part of the filing in response to Bobrek's, the last meeting, we did prepare an O&M plan, an operation and maintenance plan. And we differentiated between the section of stream that we are performing work on and then the natural stream to remain in its present state. And there is O&M maintenance, passive removal of blockages, a regular inspection under the stormwater pollution prevention plan included in the O&M plan. So even though there's no physical work being done as far as excavation or modification of the channel itself, there is maintenance of any debris accumulations, things like that, a tree falling across it. There is provisions for that in the O&M plan, which is now officially part of the notice of intent for this project.
Okay. He's going to be really happy that you're doing that, because things can go bad and you'll have a lot of complainers if things go bad, so.
And now we have an instrument in place that allows them to do that reactively without
Yes.
having to get another permit, et cetera, so we can do it the next day. And I think it's best for all involved, so.
Yeah, I agree. No other questions?
Al?
Not this time.
All set. Me too. Joe?
No, it's good. I just, the distinction of where this problem began and ended, I think we finally resolved it. But it's also, none of us should turn a blind eye that there's still another problem out there that's shared by, as much the town itself as it is the airport, only by virtue of the town problem crossing and entering onto the airport property. I want to make sure that, and I think the attention has been given to it at this point. I just want to make sure it continues to move forward and that we support that in the longer run. That I do understand that there has been some additional traction gained in that direction. Let's hope it keeps up.
Just to give you an update as far as the town, they've been upgrading some of the catch basins on Sutton Street, and after they get done doing the work on Sutton Street, like at High Street and stuff to put in the intersection, I've been told that they're talking about milling the road and kind of taking such a severe crown and putting a berm on that side, so the water will kind of stay away from those dead-end streets. That's the plan. Other than, doing a major drainage project, which nobody has money for.
So the commission received correspondence from 27 Charles Street, Attorney Rubin and Rudman. It's in your packets. I had emailed it to you as well, just so you're aware.
I am of the opinion that if we have an applicant and the applicant goes to a third-party review and answers all the questions that third-party review addresses, and we don't have questions on it. I mean, I know, I respect the abutter but I don't think it should affect what decisions we make on this project. Are there any abutters here? No. Okay, so if anybody doesn't have any questions, I'll entertain a motion.
So we're gonna have to continue to June 12th.
You tried your best?
I tried my best. And they didn't expect it either, so I was like, whew, okay, good. So I'll draft an order and have it ready for the June 12th meeting.
I move that we continue this matter to June 12th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. So you guys are not gonna, won't have to come if you don't want them,
Okay.
because it's pretty much approved, we just can't.
But you should.
But you can, you never know, somebody might throw a hand grenade in the thing.
You'd be absolutely insane if you didn't attend
But,
the meeting.
Yeah, no.
okay,
Just
Thank you
call-
very much.
Call him like I see him, Randy, sorry, you know?
I like friendly advice. Thank you. Good night.
alrighty.
So we continued.
Next one is 242-1884, 49 Court Street.
Yeah, I'll give a rundown. Okay. All right, so at the last meeting, the discussion surrounded ensuring that the 25-foot no disturb zone is totally free of the fill and that it mimics pre-fill elevations. So as a way to verify that, Justine and I went out to the property. We're out there for about 2 hours, and what we did was, at every single flag, we measured out the 25-foot no disturb zone. Within that zone, at each flag, we did at least 1 to 2 soil samples. We took a control sample outside of, in the 25 that was outside any fill interaction at all, so we could get a good understanding of what the soils were doing, what it looked like. Throughout that whole 25, the soils samples were mirroring the control, and the steepest part up towards the north side is original. So that's a steep spot, but that's always been that steep. So I can confidently say that all fill has been removed from the 25, and in some cases, the toe of that fill is, a little bit more landward from the edge of the 25, but it's not, they did a good job to remove it all. So I'm confident that what you see now is what exists on site without any fill in the 25. The plan was further revised to remove the proposed retaining wall to the north that's crept into the 50 and remove the stone sitting area that was going to be a little bit south of the existing patio. It does show the trampoline and the place at which the applicant has committed to remove from the 25. And that is it in a nutshell.
So you say you are totally satisfied that all the fill has been removed within the 25?
Yeah.
I think that's the best resolution on that one we can expect to get at this point. And it looks like our proposed changes have gotten down to a reasonable, acceptable level in my mind. As long as we get rid of the swing set and play place, I'm all set. I think we've finally gotten somewhere.
I would say to you that I just haven't touched the swing set or the trampoline because I was so scared to go back there. We didn't want to touch anything at this point.
Yeah.
I will take them out. My kids don't even use them
We
anymore.
have snipers in the woods in case you do anything
You know what?
wrong.
Whatever. You guys have been beyond patient. All I want to do is pave my driveway.
Yes.
That's it.
And
At this point, you guys have been unbelievably patient, and I'm sorry this has dragged on for so long. And if I can just not drag mud into my house every single day and pave my driveway, I would be the happiest person in the world.
I think you got something pretty much better here today, so I'm all set.
There's still a note on the plan that points to, looks like nothing, but it's proposed 24-foot-long shea concrete retaining wall,
No, we took that out, didn't we?
which I think was removed.
Didn't we take that out?
The note's there, the retaining
The note
wall.
is there, the wall is
Oh, no,
not,
but we,
so-
didn't we,
Oh, well, the physical
but we,
shape of it, but the notation.
but we took that, I mean, that was, remember,
Yeah.
you and I talked about
Yeah.
that. That,
I made that mistake a billion times.
I mean, I can,
Catch that.
I didn't
So I
catch
know
it.
it's gone,
The
but
witness
this
line, it doesn't
notation
take
is
it out.
pointing to like a non-existent
I don't
thing.
know.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I can have them just
Several
pull
times
that
it's
out
come
and
back
send
to
that
me
to you.
and I did.
That, I guess that was my error. When I talked to them, I can pull that out.
They probably just forgot to take the note off.
They were really nice, actually. They pulled everything out as fast as they could.
This looks like what it is. Amy, could you give us a little bit more clarity on the stone patio seating area that was removed? Where was that located?
So, do you see the word arborvitae along the dots?
Can you, like,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it would have been closer if you look down to the left. This is the only way I can describe it. If you look down to the left, there's a circle. It would
So-
have, that's square. I guess it would have been
Like
right in that
here,
area,
so it
but
was
that's
partially in the 50,
done.
it was right there.
We don't need
that's
that.
out.
Yep.
That's out.
okay, then, but the patio remains in the 50, part of the patio remains in the 50?
Oh, that corner,
Yep,
yeah.
okay, and that new paving at the end of the driveway,
Yeah.
proposed paving? Okay, what's gonna be to the left of that, for the west of that? Is that just gonna be a grass?
So that's been a dead hill since I've lived there.
Okay.
If you're talking about.
Right here?
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's, so that has been nothing. I mean, it's just land. So we wanted to put a basketball hoop
Yeah.
right there. The
There.
driveway would go that way, and that is it's not, I mean, it's dead land. It'll be
I mean,
grass, I guess.
it'll be enclosed by
It's
the
enclosed
privacy fence.
by the
fence,
fence,
yeah.
and we'll put grass there.
So it's a sloped hillside?
It's a very sloped, you guys saw that, it's a very sloped hillside,
Yeah.
similar to the one in the house next to us.
Okay,
So
no more questions.
A little bit of grading is proposed though, on the corner of it, to flatten it out a little bit.
And that would just be,
I
I
see
think,
that.
for the
Yeah.
driveway.
No more questions.
I'm good for right now.
I
If you
just,
look, come back to me, that'll be.
okay, I just have two questions, Leah. You have the downspout drains, and they kind of curve going to your butter's property?
So there,
Why
there,
can't we just make them straight?
no, he can make them straight. They can
Okay.
go straight, that's fine.
So,
No big-
so.
There were never downspouts. He just, I
Well-
think he put,
It says here, proposed,
oh, no,
Apron
he doesn't want
velocity.
to, no, he wanted everything to go towards the stream. Everything will go
okay,
towards the
so we
stream.
want those straight.
Yeah,
What he's
those,
done is put it perpendicular to the contour, which gives it a flatter outfall surface.
I agree, but unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's going into the butter's property.
no, we can do it, that, I think straight can be fine.
Pull it back or something.
Okay. And the other question I have is, what, you have just fill right now in the back, right?
No, we have grass. You
have-
saw,
You have,
we have.
it's all loamed, everything's groomed,
It's-
from the
it's-
25 down?
It's all grass, and then in the back, behind the arborvitae's, is all the conservation
Yeah, the seed mix
seed
is
that you
all-
guys asked us to
right.
put in.
Yeah.
So
There's
that's,
looks like there's pictures of stumps, you left them all in there?
Oh,
Yeah.
those were to show where the,
The grading.
What
Yeah.
the grading was?
Transition of grading.
Okay. And the only, because I have, there's an abutting, and I'm sure you're gonna have concerns, on the backside, which would be, Weaver Chester Realty Trust, it looks like it's almost like a, 3 or 4 foot, well, if you do up top, like, it's almost like a 4-foot slope.
No, you saw that. There's
So-
not a 4-foot slope.
so where you,
Where that tree line is.
No, it's the same slope that's been there since
that
we've lived
slope
there.
has been that way.
It's been that way since we moved. If you look at the
And it's
house.
stabilized?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's trees growing in it. We tested the soils there. It was the same as the rest of the 25.
Okay. I just want to be sure that the,
The fill didn't go that.
that the abutters
into
aren't
the
getting
abutters. Yeah.
water from everybody else. And then I'm not trying to single you out.
I know
would
you-
do that to anybody.
Listen, I totally respect your questions, and I don't know the answer to most of them, I'm sure, but I think we can guide the drainage with whichever way you want us
That's why I was
to.
asking, when the plans came through, there was no elevation, so I had no idea where the water was going.
So the side slope has never changed. It's always been really steep, and if you look at the house on the other side of us, it's a comparable side slope. So it's just houses that go down, so
Down
it's
and
never
down and
changed.
Right.
We can certainly put the drainage to the back, and that's fine, but it's never changed on that side.
Okay, very good. As long-
God bless you.
Excuse me. As long as staff is comfortable with it. Okay,
I don't have any questions.
Joe?
No, I think this has come a long way with getting clarity of, and methodology was great of how you did that. We were hearing about reports, and we were respecting them, and we also respecting the applicant and the homeowner's response of what used to be there. But I think now we've got much better clarification and clarity of what is up in that northwest corner. It seems to me that, yeah, even though the backyard was filled and pushed out, and maybe went beyond, in fact, did go beyond the 25, they pulled that back, and even though this fill in the backyard is what would have been allowed, and the transition back to the neighboring properties didn't change.
Right.
And that's what was unclear up until this, what I think I'm hearing tonight, and then proving that it's not. But I do agree with what one of my colleagues, I think it was Lou, is that that outfall from the gutters, the roof drains, they really, even though I know why they turned it perpendicular, it's simply you don't, and you can't get it any further down because you're at the 25. So you just kind of need to work that terrain in that corner and send it straight up to the back, and let the brook itself, or the stream itself, make that directional flow when you get to the stream.
I will say that the pipes, whatever they are not set, so I will make sure they just go straight to the back.
Yeah, because there's 2 of them, Joe, one on each side. Okay,
And I think we're at a point now of, understanding of what was there and what they're proposing to do. I don't think we've, other than the swing, we didn't talk, did we talk about the trampoline? I mean, the trampoline.
No, wait, the trampoline's gonna
It's
go.
out.
My
It's
kids
out.
don't even use it. I just
Right.
haven't touched it because I didn't want to touch anything back there.
Yeah. So we should say, just maybe make a notation, even on the approved drawing, that was simply, we can even condition that the trampoline
Yeah,
shall be removed.
that's what I was-
That they don't have to change the plan again.
Right. Yep.
I'm all set.
do we have it about us here? State your name and your address, please.
John Weaver, 37 Court Street. Just 2 quick things. On the side where the basketball hoop is going to go, and there was a retaining wall, but now it's taken off.
There was never a retaining wall.
Was shown.
It was
Oh,
shown-
right,
it was
I'm
on the
sorry.
previous
I'm so
plan.
sorry. Okay, sorry about that.
So is that slope going to sustain a basketball hoop and a paved driveway without a retaining wall? Is the slope steady enough on its own to not have a retaining wall there? Or is that going to start crumbling down in our direction? That's a question.
I mean, they mount the basketball hoop properly, it should stay fine.
Okay?
And if that slope right now, we're not doing anything to that area, we're not doing any grading within the fenced area, right?
Mm-mm.
You are, though.
No, and the basketball hoop would be sort of pushed back from the fence. He needs enough room, obviously, to take his 3-point shots from both sides, so it'll be in the middle.
Yeah, and just
I don't see where it would
So-
cause any issue with sloping.
Right, see, there's a new contour here and a new so they're
Oh, okay.
flattening out
Yeah.
this triangle right there.
That's why I had the question before, because like, you want to do a basketball court, naturally you want to make it even. So, the basketball court elevation is,
The court's gonna be in the driveway, so they're gonna be shooting from the driveway to here.
oh, okay, I
Yeah.
thought there was a
And then
court going
this is
beyond the
gonna be-
driveway.
This is just gonna be a grassed area, and they're gonna flatten this
Right.
triangle out.
I'm hoping those proposed contours are the same issue as that remaining note, because they don't connect to the.
Because the basketball shown on the plan is on the outside of the wall.
No, 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 no. The basketball hoop, honestly, I just want it at the end of the driveway. I mean, he's not going to the NBA. He's just going to shoot basketballs.
That's why I asked about the slope. The dot on the basketball plan, on the plan, is on the outside of the proposed driveway extension.
Yeah, right on the edge.
Okay.
It's right on the edge.
Yeah, right there.
So we need to confirm that there is no grading within that fenced area. I assume that there wasn't, but we're showing contours in there. But I assume it's the same issue as the note that's left about the retaining wall. Is we deleted the retaining wall, but we accidentally left the contours in the note that reflect it. That 166 and 168 contour connect to nothing right now, and I'm assuming they just went to the old retaining wall.
I don't need it to be
No,
a
I see-
basketball
actually,
court. I
see-
just want a
see the
paved
166 and
driveway that he
168
can
contour.
shoot.
They are shown. It's just that the proposed driveway note interrupts the dashed line. If you follow 168 northeast, past the post of the hoop, and through the word, you see 168 goes 168 right next to the word proposed.
Yep.
Follow the dot line to the right, and then diagonally up, 168 keeps going. And then just below that's the 166. So those lines do continue through the parking area.
Right.
So they're proposing no change for of grade for the driveway or the hoop.
Right there, they have two proposed
See
contours,
that, right there and there.
and those connect to nothing. Now, I think they used to hit the retaining wall.
So they're.
You're not proposing to flatten this area.
No, I just want to pave my driveway and put
Yeah.
in a basketball. I mean.
So I'm just trying to clear up.
No,
what we
you're
see
not
on
doing
here
anything wrong. I'm
versus-
just saying, like, please don't think we're putting in any fancy basketball court. We just want to pave the driveway, and my
Yeah.
son wants to shoot a basketball.
You're right.
That's all.
There's a discontinuity in that corner.
So-
You can't build that, according to these drawings.
Yeah, well, I don't think that I think that's the same thing as the note. I think those contours were meant to be deleted with the retaining wall. So,
Okay. Okay.
But it's the same end result, you're still
Right,
having,
yeah.
you're even having more gradual slope across that grassed area at the end of the driveway, which is gonna be at the same sort of cross slope that's there now. It's simply paved.
You need to continue this anyways, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
because I have to
Right, decision.
draft the decision.
So this can be changed on the plan before that?
I don't
Just-
think you're far away. I think your engineer just has to.
So it can't do, so I guess my point is this. I've spent so much money on engineering. If you can just tell me what I have to do without having to pay an engineer for another survey. If I have to move the basketball hoop further, I will. That's fine. It's just a basketball hoop. I just need my driveway paved. That's all. I'm not looking for problems. I'm not looking to flood anybody's yard. I want to put a basketball hoop and pave my driveway. If you want to tell me where to put it, that everybody would be happier with it, I'm fine with it.
Lady,
I-
you're taking this in the wrong direction.
No, no,
What I'm saying is,
oh.
you've already paid for what we're asking.
Oh, okay. No,
Take
I'm not,
these
I
two-
wasn't.
These two
I
contours,
hope-
have them erased
I-
them,
I
and
wasn't-
leave it what's
Your
there.
engineer just made a mistake.
He made a
Okay,
mistake.
okay.
You've
I
already
wasn't,
paid for it.
please know I wasn't trying to be disrespectful.
No,
I don't
no,
know
no,
what
no,
I'm
we're trying to
talking
help you.
about. I just,
They just made a mistake.
my 11-year-old just wants a basketball hoop. That's all I want.
What we're saying is, if they erase those two
Okay,
contours,
so they just take that out.
take that
Okay.
out, then everything is what exactly
Yeah.
as you said.
You haven't
You've
gotten what
already
you
paid
paid
for
for
it.
That out.
yet.
And you've already paid for it.
And please, I'm not trying.
Okay, don't worry about it.
I'm so
No,
nervous.
they should have noticed, oh, well, we're not doing a retaining wall anymore.
So take this out and take this out. Okay, okay, okay.
I'll email you. This is desktop.
This is easy.
again.
Okay, this is
They
easy.
should just
We're almost there, seriously.
I literally, you guys have been so wonderful. I just, sometimes I get sick to my stomach.
Can we close this and,
You can't close it.
Not yet. We got-
No decision.
there's no decision?
So so you understand what we're talking about here? Okay, so my main concern in this whole project was to keep your water out, their water out of yours.
Yeah.
And I think they've accomplished that.
I appreciate that.
And
yeah.
especially by turning those downspouts to go
Yeah.
straight instead of toward your property.
Yep.
I think you're gonna be in good shape.
Okay. I do have one other question.
Go ahead.
When this is all said and done, can we take a look at the slopes that are between our house and also a little bit around the corner behind theirs and get them back to their original state? Some of them are revegetating more than others. There's some debris back there that needs to be cleaned up, and that would be great if we could just get those slopes back to the condition that they were before this all started.
What do you mean?
Well,
Not grading wise, but debris wise?
there's a long tree trunk pushed up against the top of the slope with a red marker on it to mark the border between our properties. There's 2 concrete blocks sitting in the back.
We haven't
corner.
moved those just because we weren't allowed to go back there. So
Okay.
that'll all be moved.
Okay. There's a wheelbarrow back there that's been...
I will move everything as soon as I get permission to move it.
Okay. And
No-
check the vegetation, just to make sure it's all revegetating properly. Is that something we can do?
Yeah, that's something that Amy's gonna do.
Okay.
That's-
She's gonna make sure that
That's the staff's department,
Okay.
but you know what we're looking for.
The one thing I did notice, though, down closer to the stream, Asian jumping worm is there, eating away things, so.
There's what?
Well, the Asian jumping worm is evident down there, so they're busy depleting the soil, and so, I don't think they're upslope yet, but
They're coming.
they're coming, they're all over the place.
So what's the remedy?
Cinnamon, or mustard, right?
Mustard.
Mustard, she told me,
and
mustard.
then You could get them at least come up and kill the worms, but the eggs will hatch and do the
You say
mustard
mustard, you
again.
mean like growing mustard?
No, Amy,
No,
Amy came out, she
no.
taught me,
literally
mustard
mustard.
seed, right?
Mustard, ground mustard in water and pour it over the soil, and it irritates the worms and they come up and you can catch worms.
So it's
But you
a labor,
can't
it's
do
a
anything about their-
labor-intensive job, you gotta be sitting there waiting for them to come up.
Right,
Don't teach
so
my daughter
it's
that
not,
shit.
it's just,
Could we make
so
that a Boy
anyway,
Scout?
but I don't think it's upslope, so
thing?
I'll work with Leah to make sure there's a good seed mix, once all the stuff comes out.
I actually think I still have more of that
Yeah.
conservation mix, so I can pour more of that down, whatever you want me to do. I
Right, yeah.
very well versed with that nice company out in Marlboro.
Are you all done doing site reviews over there?
Yeah.
Okay. So Leah, could you work with the abutter and seeing what he wants to do and what he doesn't want to do?
Yeah, so I'll move out. I just haven't touched that stuff because I didn't want to touch anything.
Yeah.
But, we're happy to remove all that. Now that we have your okay, we can remove those pallets, we can remove that's okay to go back there and remove it? Okay,
It'll
so,
be a condition of the permit.
so
Just wait till you get the permit.
I'm gonna call you.
and-
But we
I'm just gonna call
We
you.
can't close tonight, right? That my understanding, we cannot close?
Right, because I don't have a decision ready.
But my understanding is maybe I can talk to a paver and think about having somebody come out in the next 3 months?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna,
Chances are, what we've all
We'll
discussed.
close at the next
We're
meeting.
likely to close at the next meeting. You'll get a decision likely at the next meeting.
Okay,
Which at that point, you just wait for the 10-day appeal period to expire and you're off and running.
whatever you guys want me to do.
So it's
Okay.
31 days,
Very good.
32 days.
Okay.
so we have to continue you to the next
That's,
meeting.
Like I
I'm
said-
fine with that. I'll text, I'll email you.
Do you guys want a plan for the next meeting that deletes those things?
Just have them take I'll talk to you and you'll
Yeah,
tell me
yeah.
what to
Not
have
if
them
they're
take
gonna-
off.
Not if they're gonna charge you.
They're not going to charge you.
No, they shouldn't.
They charge
I'm not
$45
talking
every
about
time I
the
ask
contract.
them,
She's
which,
talking about-
But
you
they
know what, at
shouldn't-
this point
they
in the
shouldn't-
game, I don't care. It's gonna be the best
These are- these
$45
points
I've
out
ever
errors.
spent.
Those are their
Their
errors.
errors, just be firm, you've already paid for them to not
Okay,
make
so
those
just
errors.
I
have
agree with
them-
that, but the removal of
Okay.
the other stuff will be
I'll talk.
They should have deleted that notation about the retaining wall, and
I
they
know,
should
but
delete,
I don't
they
want
should have
I don't want them
deleted
to
the
charge us.
I'm just
grading
gonna
because it
email
doesn't
you
work.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so we need a motion to continue. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, that's unanimous.
Thank
Hold on, Leah. Leah, hold on one second. Can we handle her enforcement order?
From when?
Can we,
She doesn't need, yeah, I don't think she needs, that's a great question, you're just asking.
hold on one second. Can we, she has an enforcement order that's here. Can we,
Does she need to be here for that?
Well, we're gonna continue it.
Okay.
we're not gonna hear that tonight either?
Once we have the order of conditions issued.
Okay, all right.
The order will rule, and we can lift the enforcement order.
Those
But let's
fines
just keep,
ended- Those fines ended when they filed their
when they
NOI.
filed the NOI,
So,
yes.
yeah,
So
we're
you're
all
all set, you're all set.
Thank you all
All
so
right.
much. Have a nice
All
night,
right.
guys. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
All right, next one.
Come to a Concom.
242 1886 Stevens Street, Culvert.
Okay. All right. The last time this was discussed, the commission had asked for additional information relating to, how cofferdam and dewatering means and methods will be handled during large, more catastrophic events. Locations for dewatering and types of controls for that, providing a rough time frame for major elements of the project, and more information on the proposed subdrain that was going to be along Harkaway Road and then terminating near the culvert. The one thing about the subdrain is that John Bergese, our town engineer, received information from a senior personnel that knew that there was already a subdrain there. So it's not functioning correctly, so he's gonna investigate it in July. So we wanted to remove that from the scope of this notice of intent and treat it as more of a maintenance situation. And then you had asked for sort of a final restoration plan and how the demobilization and restoring of the footprint will be measured for success. Since the last meeting, DEP 401 water quality was brought into the loop, but we can rest that now because they understand that the drawdown is going to be within the normal drawdowns that they usually do, so he has no more concerns that way. So we don't have to worry too much about that. Reps from Ty and Bond are here this evening, and they can probably fill in the gaps better than I can, so.
I think you got it.
You guys did?
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well.
Okay.
So I'm Matt Coughlin, again, project manager and structural engineer at Time Bond, and Julie.
Julian Avani, environmental
Why
scientist.
don't we have the questions from the commission first, and this way you don't have to answer things twice.
Sure. Yep.
All right, well, I guess if the drawdown is a normal operation, right, that settles that pretty much.
Right.
I still hate the fact that we're putting lipstick on this particular pig and not doing the full replacement, but, permitting is what it is. I'm all set.
Question for Amy. In the package, there's abutters comments.
Resident comment.
Say it again?
Resident,
Resident?
not an abutter, but a resident of the town.
Okay. Don't we, do we accept comments from non-abutters?
Of course.
Public hearing.
It's a public hearing.
Okay,
Yep, yep.
so, I guess, all right, I have no questions right now.
No, question, is the sub-drain gonna be cleaned before or after culvert is worked, or simultaneously, or?
So I'd
Probably
have to,
before.
yeah, I would,
Before?
yeah, I would assume the earliest between, obviously, the rest of the permitting process, bidding, would be in the fall, and I think John's looking to investigate that sometime in
In July.
July, so I would imagine that would be before, but John could probably clarify, confirm
The
that.
plan to do this project is in the fall? I thought he said we
Well,
want.
That would be the,
With additional permitting and then the bidding,
yeah.
he's probably gonna do it next summer. at
All
this
right.
Oh, really, another
Yeah.
year? Okay. No questions? Sean?
No questions for me?
So we have a chicken and a egg situation that happens on public projects like this, and I know for a fact that you can't not submit plans that don't say things like 90% and not for construction. However, we can't approve a project that says that you must have these plans on project during construction and not have the
Oh,
plans.
yeah.
So you gotta at some point get us plans that are ready for bidding.
100%.
Right.
Or at least don't have these notes with no changes when it does go out to bid.
Right,
So we gotta figure out how you're gonna do that.
okay.
So we-
Because you're kind of in a catch-22 right here.
Well, what we've done in the past, we've conditioned projects where they need to provide 100% construction drawings, accompanied by a memo to detail how it differs from what we saw and what we conditioned. And if there's discrepancies that need to come back to the
Back to
commission
modification.
to
So
modification.
why don't we specifically
Yes.
spell that out? I think that's a way around, to navigate around that,
Okay.
because it's just counterintuitive that we tell people, this is what you're gonna build.
Yeah,
No, you're
right.
not.
Exactly.
All right. That, honestly, everything else we had raised at the earlier meeting that has been clarified, and I haven't dived into what you wrote, but I assume that Amy has and that it's adequate. And you guys do thorough work, so I bet it is.
And we can't close tonight anyway, because I have to draft a decision, so there's more time if you wanted to.
And what I'll do is I'll make sure if there is anything that I raise, I can let you know just off, and you let them know before they, whether they need to come to the next meeting or not.
How many decisions are we gonna have at the next meeting? 3, 5?
Three, threes, yeah. 4.
But we seem to be continuing for closing and not for further debate.
Right, exactly.
So that moves it along a little
Yes,
faster.
yes, yes.
I didn't see the abutter comment, I'm sorry. Was there anything germane there that we? The resident comment. Was there anything that,
There's a lot of history in there, I was just interested in learning a little more about it. I can learn more another time.
all right.
Well put.
I'm all set.
Do I understand we have to continue this?
Yep.
So moved.
Any butters?
Do any abutters want to talk? Non-answer, mister.
All right, well, then, I have questions that I can think of, take away. So we got a motion and
I'll second that.
a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. It's continued to when?
June 12th.
June 12th.
And I'll draft a decision in the meantime, and, I mean, if Joe has questions, I'll let you know.
Okay.
While you were at it, elevations and, I don't know if I saw, and stockpiling, you're gonna just take it out of the DPW yard? You're not gonna keep stuff on site, roadway,
I believe, because the roadway is gonna be closed down, there was a plan to stockpile on the roadway.
okay, so, can you show that? Can you do it? Is it on here? I missed it.
It should be,
The dewatering location shown, but not necessarily stockpiles.
oh, true, okay, yeah, I think we have the general, like, detail for the stockpiles, how they're
Yeah.
protected, but not necessarily the exact locations.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're so close to the pond and stuff, it's gonna have to be surrounded by
Yeah.
silt fence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
What's the duration?
The duration?
Yeah, how long do we think it's gonna take to replace it?
We said like 90 days. Well, oh wait, that was the in-water work.
Yeah, so there's, I think at most 90 days is the anticipated cofferdam work. There would be paving and roadway work after that, but that, as far as the actual cofferdam and the dewatering within that, that would be 90 days. It would likely be less, but we want to give the worst case anticipated scenario.
Okay, that's how I get to work, so. Thank you.
Thanks.
We took the vote. What's that? We got a vote?
We did, yeah, we already.
Okay, we're all set. See you-
Okay.
See you in
Thank
2
you very
weeks.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
And yeah, just let us know if you want us to clarify anything in the meantime.
Next one is
Will do, thanks.
242-1890, 230 Webster Woods.
All right. So the commission will recall this project involves replacing a liner in an in-ground pool and removing and replacing existing concrete patio with a new patio. At the last meeting, no new information was requested other than I had requested that off-site bordering vegetated wetland be placed on the plan just for future reference at an abutting property, and we were waiting for a DP file number. So we did actually draft a decision for this one, so we could close if there's no more requests for information. The homeowner and his wetland scientist, Thor Akerley, are here this evening if you have questions.
Thank you. Brad?
We went over this one pretty good last time, I'm all set.
Jack?
Yeah, I'm all set too.
Yeah?
I'm good.
No questions? Joe?
None.
Motion?
Move that we close and issue the decision before you know it.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
All set. All right.
So I'll probably issue that decision late next week. It's a little mini vacation, so.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Next one is 242-1890. Oh, sorry, 242-1891, French Farm.
Alrighty. So this project involves demolition of an existing in-ground swimming pool and associated surrounding concrete patio. The house was built in 1984 and the pool dates back to 1986. So part of the existing pool and patio and equipment and fence and the river rock are within the 50-foot no-build zone. In order to cut down on the amount of excavation, they propose to install a new, slightly smaller in-ground pool, roughly in the same footprint of what exists, and replace the concrete patio with a permeable paver patio, and keeping some of the existing river rock around it, and expand landscaping areas inside the fenced footprint. A waiver request has been submitted, and they are proposing mitigation in the form of 640 square feet of plantings in the 25 that is currently lawn, and about 1,200 square feet of the impervious concrete patio will convert to a pervious paver patio and river rock. Due to high groundwater table in this area, a sump pump embedded in gravel alongside the pool is proposed, and will discharge to a proposed rain garden in the northern portion of the property within the 50-foot no-build zone that is currently lawn. An O&M plan has been submitted for pool water management, the filtration system care, and care of the rain garden. A dewatering detail is provided on the plan and a location. I reviewed the wetland line. We did shift one flag a little bit up gradient. And there was some yard waste dumping observed in the 25-foot no disturb zone. So that's the summary. And the homeowner and Thor Akerley, their wetland consultant, is with us this evening.
Thank you. Right?
Sump pump that is in the, underneath the bed of permeable pavers, is that just to drain the permeable paver bedding?
So the pool manufacturer, it's a fiberglass pool. Usually we've seen people put the hydrostatic relief valves under the pool. Apparently they won't warranty the pool if one of those is used. I guess it's more of a pre-made thing, and they don't want you drilling holes in them. But in theory, that's what I've seen before. So the idea here is that if they ever need, if groundwater was extremely high, not that it would be used often, but they'd have the ability to put that sump pump in a few feet below grade and discharge water to the rain garden, avoiding uplift of the pool.
Due to high groundwater.
I know we got work in 50 foot, but I mean, we're getting something better than we got today. I think I'm gonna be all right. No, I got nothing else.
Yeah, I think it's a good project. I don't know how a rain garden works. Could you give us, like, in a nutshell, how this is gonna go? You're gonna periodically pump groundwater down to it, and what's gonna happen?
Yeah, I think the thought was, you got to do something with the water. So you could do a dry well, further away, outside the 50. But in reality, you might as well reuse the water, put some native vegetation in there, and the idea is that, the water will support the semi-unique vegetation, that we're proposing within the rain garden, and it adds, additional filtration of, although it's groundwater and that's what's in the wetland, it does improve the filtration and quality of the water at least a little bit in theory. So you've got a bunch of layers beneath the rain garden, which it's sort of like a mini filtration system for the water.
Do the plants overgrow and have to be cut out from time to time?
I would say yes, they definitely can.
Okay.
But at a certain point, it's almost like the water can go here. You'll have a depression for it to at least sit, infiltrate, sort of like a stormwater management infiltration basin. The sides are typically mowed. I believe that was in the O&M, but it's definitely a glorified area to discharge the water that provides some ecological benefit.
Okay, and the buffer zone replication area looks to be easily more than 2 to 1, which is a good improvement. Thanks. No further questions.
I like the project. I have no problems with any portion of it. All set.
My question is, what is the bottom elevation to the pool?
I believe it was 86.8.
Much?
The detail has the elevation. I believe it was 86.8. The bottom of the
Are you talking
rain garden.
Rain garden or the
The
pool?
pool, no, the bottom of the pool.
The pool.
So it was an 8 foot deep. So I believe the existing grade was about 89 on the patio. So it'd be around 81. So you definitely have groundwater at the bottom,
So you're in the water table.
for sure, with the pool for sure.
Okay. So basically, that pump is gonna be running all the time.
No, so the only reason it wouldn't be is because the pool's not going to move unless the groundwater elevation is higher than the water elevation in the pool. So the water elevation of the pool will be pretty static around 80, 88 or so, a foot below the grade you're seeing, the spot elevations you're seeing on the patio. So it'd be a pretty rare scenario that you need to run it a lot. I guess,
So the water on the bottom of the pool.
so that, yeah, so that's just,
Flow?
no, it's staying there. It's only if the uplift force from the groundwater would cause the uplift of the pool that they would need to run it.
So if that's at level 88, the top of your infiltration basin is at 87.5.
I'm very familiar with this area, and I know it's very wet,
Agreed.
okay? And I know how these houses get in here. I'm just concerned that the pressure underneath the water could cause the pool pressure to push it
That's
out.
what's degrading our pool currently. Like, that's why this is happening. The pool is caving in.
And the rain garden is calculated based on what?
It's not designed to accommodate a certain flow.
So we don't know if the rain guard would work or not work.
Well, it depends how long you run it. I guess the question is, the answer is we don't know how long you would need to run it in the worst-case scenario. But in theory, again, you're only running the pump if the groundwater was literally almost at the ground surface.
Worst case, it's a decent level spreader.
Say, Brad?
So in worst case, it's a decent level spreader. So when it overflows, it's proper sheet flow.
But it goes right into the wetlands.
I believe that rain garden is gonna be mostly useless to you. If the groundwater is high enough for it to be pumped, it's gonna be, the thing's gonna be inundated.
100% on board. That's where I was gonna go.
If I'm hearing correctly, the pool water is remaining to negate the groundwater, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the uplift of the pool would not, damage to the pool in theory wouldn't happen unless the groundwater was above the pool water.
Right. Once it's at that
Which is
point,
pretty-
It's at the surface,
it's above,
practically.
yeah, it's about the surface, it's gonna be above this.
Right.
Part of the reason to do a fiberglass pool is that we should never have to empty it or do any significant like resurfacing or replastering or revinyling, which would all cause a problem with this. And the groundwater would push, if the pool had to be emptied and drained to be resurfaced.
I'm familiar with the soils too, because it's all clay, so it's not, water's not gonna flow that readily through it.
Yeah.
So I'm worried about water detention, and it's gonna, the bottom of that pool is the weakest area for water.
Biggest issue is the outfall. I mean, they got the pump to take care of the issues that's gonna take care of that. I just don't know why there's a rain garden. We see plenty of just outfalls. Why is there a rain garden, I guess?
Well, we didn't really just want to discharge it straight to the wetland.
Yeah,
Um,
I like to hear that.
you know, it provides some treatment, but I agree with you. If you did have to run it for a significant period of time, it's, groundwater going to the wetland. It's not stormwater, so it's a little different in that respect, but
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying.
And the other question is that temporary stockpile area in the back, once you start construction, how are you gonna get out of there?
So that's just for the rain garden area. You'd have to just come out, we have erosion controls around the whole backyard there. So, you'd have to
Well,
come
you
around.
got the
Yep.
watering pit there, and you have a garden there
Yep.
before you even get to the construction access.
I don't anticipate them doing it at the same exact time. I think you could have, if in theory though, you do have room to go around it, or you could shift the dewater right first.
The rain garden first and back yourself
Yeah.
out.
Right. You could shift the dewatering area up a little bit.
That's, like I said, that's the dirt from the stockpile area, from the rain garden, and that should be out of there before you even screw with the pool, so you can get out of there.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, for now.
So as far as amount of concrete in the 50 now versus amount of pervious paving there'll be in the 50, is it the same, more or less?
So the amount of pavement, concrete in the 50, let me look at the waiver request. I think it was around 200 square feet of concrete. A good portion of that concrete's coming out and being replaced with river rock. And then the rest of the concrete in the 50 and the entirety of the patio is all being permeable pavers, bedded in sand. So there's no concrete in the 50, no concrete within the buffer zone at all, actually, anymore.
Yep, and the permeable pavers are gonna be in the 50, is it fewer square feet than about 200, 240 of concrete, you said?
Yes, I don't have the exact square footage of.
That's okay, as long as
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
more, that's all I really
No,
care
it's,
about.
it's definitely less because the pavers are going directly over where the concrete was, and then the additional concrete's being removed and replaced with rock.
Gotcha. And the river rock crushed stone, is that, that's just a stone that's gonna go around it instead of the pavers? Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of, the whole perimeter is decorated with crushed stone, larger stone.
Yeah, pretty.
Helps diffuse the stormwater a little bit.
And it looks like we're getting some land back along the 25-foot towards the tree line there in the back. Should we think about a barrier there, Amy? Yep.
Yeah,
Where do you think it would make sense?
let's see, so
Hold on.
we're gonna have you mean, between in front of the plantings?
Along the 25, I was
Oh,
thinking.
like the whole, okay.
Or at least,
Um,
well, not necessarily the whole thing, but part of it.
Right,
I see a lot of it is still almost tree line is up
yeah,
to a lot of
yeah.
it.
The buffer zone planting area.
Yep, so you're gonna do buffer zone plantings within the 25, right?
Right.
So maybe stone wall along that but for how long of a distance is what I'm kind of inquiring.
Mhm. I'm trying to get to a picture of where it's gonna go.
It's kind of in the
So,
back corner
it's
there.
Like in the back corner. So this, right along the edge of the existing vegetation in this corner is where the plantings are gonna go. And then in front of that is gonna be the rain garden.
The rain garden, yeah.
I don't know if a stone wall would fit in between the two. Maybe we could do a fence or something.
Yeah, something to
Yeah.
separate them, I would think. What about where,
It's a fairly narrow spot, isn't it? Like back there by the temporary stockpile area. If that pool is 15.5 feet wide, that strip in the 25-foot zone is gonna be about 7 feet at widest. Maybe some markers would work.
Yeah, I mean, so like, at the back, the 25, only has a small slice of lawn, which probably wouldn't be a big deal to give up. And then there's a little bit more of a belly of the lawn
that's
here,
what I was thinking,
up here.
I guess that's the west side, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
But again, this was a lot that was developed, well before the bylaw,
Oh, there you go. I see what you mean, Sean.
So I think that's where we could do some protection.
So maybe like, we could do something along this back, because it's not really giving up a lot. Go in between the plantings and the back of the rain garden, and then maybe just kind of dive that way. Do you know what I mean?
And that is gonna be revegetated on the west side as well, right?
Right, this is all gonna
Just
be
there.
That area.
replanted.
Yep. Not where it says existing CON patio.
Right.
That's not gonna be revegetated?
Right, so maybe we could take the fence and dive it this way. This area would revegetate, that little, I don't know.
Oh,
Or just go a little bit in front of the existing vegetation to,
Yeah, again, I haven't seen the property, but I would think along the 25 on the west side, and that's the
Along
north
here.
side over there.
and then along here.
Yep. But something, I'd like to see the applicant propose something along there for a barrier.
Okay.
That's all I have.
I'm going right back to where Brad comes from. There's two things that really drive me crazy on this. One is the use of buzzwords. It's not a rain garden. And it's not pervious pavement, a pervious patio. It's neither of those. Because what you're really doing is trying to spin your wheels against the tide here. You're introducing water into the groundwater that you're trying to pump out, so you're not infiltrating anything. And then you're collecting it and putting it in a rain garden that's not a rain garden, but it's really simply a point discharge that's functioning as a level spreader within the 25, which shouldn't be allowed. Neither should the rain garden be allowed in this area, because it's not a rain garden. What we really have is, I hate to say it, a really ill-conceived addressing of the hydrostatic pressure problem. Isn't the situation with hydrostatic pressure, maintaining groundwater versus a fiberglass boat, if you will, and some buoyancy with that, just pump the groundwater into your pool and get the pool level up, and then pump it out and draw it down when the groundwater resides. Now, the reality is, you're gonna lose your lot is dead flat. There's no gray line whatsoever, so when the sump gets to the elevation where you need to pump, because you put rainwater in through the impervious pavement, now you're pumping it out, you're putting it literally only a distance away within the 25, but the groundwater is exactly the same elevation. You're not accomplishing a damn thing. You're pumping in circles. You're pumping the water out and moving it only some short distance away, and only to bring the water table back up. You're accomplishing nothing. And that's what I see, because I don't see enough information to say that this is well thought out. Yet I hear buzzwords. I hear rain garden, I hear pervious pavement, and neither of which achieves what we're trying to achieve here. And at the same token, asking for a waiver for the rain garden. It doesn't fly, to me. I think it's where Brad was decided to come from, but he was being more diplomatic. It just doesn't work. The crazy thing is, the previous pool shouldn't have worked this long either. But when it's been the original pool since '85,
It's not in good shape.
don't do a fiberglass pool. And then I haven't even gotten into, if we somehow agree we're gonna let you build something, and I do recognize it's a reduction in overall disturbance compared to what's historically been there. How do you build it? How do you de-water it? Not within that circle. How do you de-water groundwater? Do you pick it when the groundwater drops 8 feet? I don't think the groundwater fluctuates that much. How do you put well points in to be able to build this thing and keep the water out, to drop the boat into the ocean and keep it from doing this while you're trying to backfill it? I don't know how you do it. It's ill-conceived. So what's before us is, I hate to say it, is something I would vote against. Find another solution. This doesn't work.
Is it okay? Could I respond to a couple of your comments? Is that okay? Yeah, so I mean, again, it's a concrete patio. I do disagree with the sentiment that that's not an improvement over what's there, and I agree with you. There's a high groundwater table, the soils aren't great, but you're gonna have a good amount of sand and stone underneath that and around that pool and patio for water to infiltrate. You know, I understand that we're gonna be sending some of that water elsewhere, you know, but it's certainly better than everything sheeting off of it right now. You know, and then where the rain garden's proposed, it's specifically at the lower point of the yard. That wetland, or the wetland, has a steep slope to it, steep banking. That was a drainage easement as part of the subdivision. So once the water leaves that rain garden, it goes right down into the drainage easement. It's a large swale. It's a large, that flows, I believe it's south.
It goes out the neighborhood, at the
You
east
know,
end of the neighborhood.
You know, and the alternative is doing a dry well, which I don't think that's any better for anybody. I think that would be 10 times worse, where that's going to be potentially surcharging, and then you need an emergency overflow. If that's something the commission prefers, you know, we can certainly do that, but at least in this area, you're getting, you know, wetland vegetation, you know, and at least an area for water to potentially infiltrate into the rain garden. I know it is a buzzword, I agree, people throw it around, but, you know, there's a nice detail on there showing how to build it. There's a lot of sand in there, replaces all of the...
Do we not have those details? I mean, I see something that says rain garden species list, is that just that cross-section?
There's a, yeah, cross-section.
Yeah, so, all right, that's ages, so I wouldn't say great.
There's a cross-section.
So let's say we go down this road and we continue to discuss and you try to convince us. I mean, where's your sump? What depth? What are your switch points? Is it manual? Is it floats? What's the observed groundwater condition? What's there now? What's the seasonal? What's the fluctuation between high seasonal and low seasonal? I mean, there's no data to support what you're doing other than seat of your pants. We have nothing. And what I see is literally, you look at the grade, and but I heard you say something about steep slope down to the wetland. We don't have any off-site topography, so I do have a wetland line showing 83.34 next to 87.862, and I'm looking down by
The
flag
contours are on there up to the,
yeah, on-site I'm seeing that, and then around the perimeter, I'm seeing some elevations at the flags, which is fair enough. So what I'm seeing is, are we saying the wetland under a seasonally wet condition is literally 2 or 3 feet higher than the elevation that's shown on this plan? Is that standing water? So how deep is your ground, what's the highest level of your seasonal high groundwater? Next to the pool?
next to the pool, I would estimate it, you know, the closest wetland flag, I believe it was about 84.5. So that's probably a safe seasonally high groundwater elevation estimate, unless there's a soil change and a gradient for the groundwater, but and then it does slope, you know, so you get the deeper groundwater elevation on the lower portion of the plan.
So, is this your typical, there used to be a drainage ditch, and now there's just a wetland associated with it, or is this natural wetland?
If you go back and look at aerials from the property from the 70s, you don't really see it. There definitely was something there, a stream probably. I don't know if anyone's been out there before it was built, but
Louis knows, I know.
yeah.
That was, they took that, on the opposite side of the street, they did about a 20-foot cut. And they pushed that fill. You gotta see it. The bulldozer would push it, and it'd be, the sludge would be the size of this town hall. And it would just push it into the hole. Some of these houses are on triple foundations. They put a foundation on it. And this might be one of them. And that was just a big valley.
So South Carolina stuff.
That was a big, big valley with a stream running through the middle of it.
Okay.
In the middle of the circle, you mean?
In that middle of that
In
circle.
the middle of the circle, there was,
Yeah, because, and this is all watershed too.
It's
actually
not.
They took it out of watershed?
No, this actually flows back, believe it or not, down under Barker, where there was a.
Oh, right, we had that
And
conversation.
it goes out down by that landscaping area and then down towards Lucent.
Yeah, we had a conversation one day about that. We had the water going 2 ways.
The break is literally right here, a little further to the south and east, south and west, it goes back towards, this does not.
There's a stream that crosses there that has two separate
Right.
points.
Right.
We worked on that.
Yeah. But
It's an interesting area.
it is. And I don't get into history because it could take too much time, but this used to be a farm years ago. It was a Steinberg farm. And after World War II, he was going to sell the veterans land for $1 a lot. And the town shut him down because it was watershed. And then somebody went to the right church and bought this property and got it developed. But that was thousands of yards pushed in there so they could build a house on the inside of the circle. So it's not virgin soil to start off with. And I know it's all clay.
So I'm still having a struggle with the purpose, the hydrostatic pressure. And again, it's only because of what they're doing to propose to treat it and to handle it, I should say, more than treat it, and set it down within the 25. I'm trying to justify in my mind why that's an appropriate approach. If we're saying your highest groundwater is that 84-ish, call it even 85, and the perimeter at your apron is saying on average is 89.3 around your whole perimeter of your pool, which puts your coping of the pool itself at that same elevation. you're still 5 feet above your highest groundwater elevation. In a filled pool, what's the hydrostatic problem?
I agree with you. Like, it's really in case of an emergency, like, should they, because they're not letting them put in hydrostatic relief valves under the pool. The manufacturer says, we don't want you to do it. So we need something in case of, should they be needed, is the idea.
I think, can I give a little bit of?
It's a waiver request. They haven't given me a compelling alternatives analysis to consider the waiver. Let's go to right to technicality.
A little bit of background on so we are doing a fiberglass pool because one, a company to do a vinyl line pool said no because they're afraid of the line ripping off because of the hydrostatic pressure. Gunite pools could use hydrostatic relief valves, but I don't want to do a 16-week project, and I think you guys might appreciate that. This is supposed to be done in 2 weeks. And, once the fiberglass pool ends up being the kind of most natural solution to those two problems.
I want to add too, I didn't include the rain garden as part of the waiver. My understanding was that that wasn't a structure. I know stormwater management structures are part of the no-build zone, and that's the only reason I didn't include it, and it was my understanding it wasn't part of the waiver request tonight because of that.
Yeah, it's not in the 25.
It's not in the 25.
We're getting plantings in the 25.
According to building code, you're allowed to do infiltration within 50 feet of the
You don't need them separation of groundwater. So
But that's
there's just so much at play here.
It's for stormwater, no?
Yeah.
Right, this isn't stormwater.
Basically just migrating groundwater to groundwater and conveying it mechanically.
Correct.
So it's gonna be constant.
It-
I mean, it's gonna be 4 feet in the water table.
I mean, is
So-
there
so-
flooding in this area, or is it the channel that's in the backyard where this easement is? Does that generally take everything away?
It's a pretty big channel. I'd say it's 4 or 5 feet high.
So I mean, at the end of the
There's
day,
no
when
flood
this thing's
zone.
running, this rain garden's gonna do nothing, but it's gonna go overland and it's gonna go get into that channel
Right.
and be a drop in the bucket at that point, I imagine.
But again, the pump's not running all the time. It's only, not catastrophic, but really, we're getting a lot of big storms. I've seen some crazy flooding here in the town, and we have 2 in Middleton, and this is the solution that we felt was most appropriate to the site to convey water towards the wetland.
I mean, and generally, when we're approving a groundwater sump pump, we just want to make sure that the water gets away from the house and other people's houses. So I think that's happening here. I think our problem is the rain garden. It just seems superfluous at this point. When you would need to use it, it's going to be inundated.
We could do an outfall. I certainly wouldn't argue with that. It would cost, them less money.
Yeah.
If that's what the commission prefers, but we were trying to come up with a little bit of a softer solution, but I can see some of the concern. And
I don't speak for the group, but I think you should put some rain garden money to some border wall money for Sean. And just give me a nice stabilized outfall there.
Last year, this is happening this year because last year, around the 4th of July, there was standing water in my yard for probably 2 weeks. And so the liner that's on the pool right now, completely ripped off, is probably 10, 15 years old and is full of holes. So that's why we're here today to replace the pool. And that's probably the extreme groundwater situation is.
We're trying to protect the wetlands, but also I'm trying to see that this is gonna work for you, because you're spending thousands of dollars,
Yeah,
and I don't see how that's gonna work. I mean, you're floating a pool, pretty much.
Well, how does the existing pool work?
I don't know.
Or does it not?
Where's the
It's falling
It's failed. It's ultimately failed. I mean,
So the existing pool's failed?
it's failing.
And do we think it's failing because of the symptoms we're discussing now?
But it's a 40-year-old pool. Everybody who's come out has said there's been apparent one effort at repair because the concrete is cut, which is not how it should be made. They apparently built wood walls back then, so there's probably some rot involved. So the pool is going away.
What does it have for a drain now? Nothing?
nothing I saw.
So what additional information should we ask them to provide? because we've been at this for a while. I mean, you kind of fired off a whole bunch of questions in rapid succession.
What you want to see.
That,
Let's go to elsewhere on the table, because I mean, I'm at a point where I would vote against this project, period. There is no solution.
What's the waiver request for? It was for the rain garden or for something else?
no, it wasn't.
For the pool.
For the pool,
It's all in the 50.
It's in the 50.
But it's pre-existing.
but it's pre-existing.
Smaller,
so-
shifted a little bit.
Well, it is. It is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
pre-existing.
it would have been grandfathered.
It is.
Yeah,
So
so I-
look at it from that approach. Look at it as a grandfather project. How can we make it a better project? I don't know.
So would it make more sense if they still had the sump pump, but it was some kind of a stormwater
Stabilized.
management
Stabilized riprap outfall.
outfall? That's the word I was looking for. Would that work better?
Brad likes it out.
I mean, it's gonna
It's
save
better
him a
than-
lot of
better
money.
than the
We're
rain
trying
garden.
to excavate into the groundwater here for this rain
Yeah,
garden.
from an outfall perspective, it's the way to do it. It takes away the rain garden, which really simply isn't gonna function as a rain garden, it does nothing.
Can we
So-
send them back to the drawing board with that approach?
Well, I think we would need to understand, how does a sump pump work? Where does it go? How is it collected? Is it a wet well vessel down under one point, or is it piped around the perimeter? We don't know anything about it.
What's the elevation?
Nothing's shown here. What's elevations? What are your set points?
We can clarify that a little bit.
You want some time and redesign it?
Yeah, I guess I would just ask, you know, we don't want to put an outfall in the middle of the yard. Would the commission feel an outfall in a similar location to the rain garden work, you know, which
You'd
would
have
be,
to have a level spreader
right, but it would
of
be,
sufficient distance that's outside the 25, and that's where your outfall would be prior to that.
I'm just
So whether
asking if
that's in
it,
stone or whatever, you just figure out where that falls.
yeah,
It probably fits within the envelope of where your grain garden would fall, so it's not the middle of the yard.
yeah, I guess I'm just concerned that it would be considered a structure in the 50 to the commission, but if
An
it's not,
outfall's not a structure.
okay,
Yeah, that's actually a site improvement,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so pull that outfall back as far as we feel comfortable. Give us a riprap apron that's designed to handle the maximum velocity of the pump you have assigned. Gives us some information on the wet well and flow levels. I think that should get us somewhere decent.
And the barrier.
Oh,
And the
Sean's
barrier.
barrier.
Along 25.
Yep.
Do the best you can.
Would it be
I
good?
think we do have to, we talked about this outfall and the riprap and the energy, but we also have to recognize that even you've taken the energy out of it, you've now sent an accumulation of water to this corner. At some point where it gets off the flat area, it now hits a steep slope and drops 3 feet. And that is in the 25, so you gotta understand how that water is gonna migrate off-site over that steep slope, which over time will become an erosion problem.
All right, so we need to continue.
So 2 weeks, 4 weeks?
Next meeting.
Our next meeting is June 12th.
June 12th, yeah, June 12th is fine for now.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's it. Like I said, that outfall you're talking about is gonna have to be sizable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. All right,
Stevens Pond.
yeah, 242-1732, Stevie's Pond. Hello.
Hi, Joe. Alrighty, I'll just give a rundown. So the commissioner will recall discussing the possibility of a more long-term O&M that would operate under a certificate of compliance for treatment of Stevens Pond. Water and Wetland is the management company, and they came back with a request for modification and an O&M plan. that addresses a number of management techniques and explained how those would be implemented in line with what they're doing right now, as opposed to the only long-term management method that is allowed right now under the order, under condition number 65, is manual hand pulling of non-native invasive vegetation. So instead of coming back every 5 years with a brand new notice of intent, we wanted to maybe give a longer horizon under a certificate with a management plan. So without going into excruciating detail, maybe, Joe, you could just provide an overview, if that's okay.
Yeah, perfect. Good evening, Commissioners. So you remember I was here and I asked for an extension, and we kind of transitioned to more of an O&M plan, which really this type of project is from the get-go. So basically that's what you have here. You know, I guess I'll summarize it by saying I asked for an extension initially because there's no new better technologies than what's already being done at Stevens Pond. So essentially, the O&M plan is what we've always been doing. So it has a few tasks. You know, it has manual hand pulling, you know, if densities allow. Selective hydro raking. Historically, the DPW has just done some hydro raking, which just basically removes decayed organic debris, leaves, dead weeds, just from the beach area, really just to keep swimmers safe and kind of get that muck out of there. Proactive use of aluminum sulfate, so commonly used in drinking water, and what that does is it binds phosphorus. So hopefully that's, you know, why we weren't shut down last year at Stevens Pond. You know, very low dose alum, you know, so proactive algae management to stay ahead of it. There's herbicide use on there for some of the invasives. It's fairly minimal. We typically tend to use sonar just in the beach area, which is fluoridone, also approved in drinking water. You know, just in that small area for fanwort control, there really aren't many options for fanwort. Dicot was approved for curly leaf pondweed. Historically, we haven't used it, at least the last couple of years we've been involved. But that was allowed, so we kept it on the O&M plan. And then finally, copper-based algicides, which we use at Cochituic on rare occasion based on the water department, you know, monitoring. And, you know, we haven't needed copper at Stevens Pond because we're being so proactive with alum, but it is a tool just in case. We do regular monitoring there of cyanobacteria, and when we see counts start to creep up, it may be necessary, but obviously based on water quality. So a couple other things that are kind of volunteered that I would assume the commission would require anyways, but we volunteered because they're the right thing to do. But the water quality, I think we just keep the same water quality program. Some algae samples, which we're already doing, a year-end report to the commission, you know, and then coming before the commission if anything changes. Speaking of changes, the question came up at the last meeting about, well, what happens if new invasives are introduced? So I came up with a little table here of some of the more common invasive species that luckily are not in Stevens Pond, and how we may manage them if indeed they are found. You kind of see there's clear differences based on densities, right? Water chestnut is a real easy one to describe that. You know, if we find 10 water chestnut plants, we're simply just gonna pull them with the seeds on them and get those plants with the seeds out of there. If we find 100 water chestnut plants, we're simply gonna pull them and get them out of there with the seeds on them, right? It's manual removal. But as you start to get into large areas, it's just impossible. I mean, we'd have crews on the water for weeks and weeks to try and hand pull. So we may use a clear cast, which is a Mazamox. So that's a good analogy. Same thing with the milfoils. You know, there is no milfoil in Stevens Pond that we've found. So if we do find milfoil, divers going down and hand pulling would be applicable, but not at high densities. The hope with all these species really is if they are introduced, you know, through the O&M plan, we're surveying Stevens Pond pretty regularly, and we would catch them before they reach these large areas. You know, that's the beauty of having biologists on the water several times a year, actually monthly, because we're out there sampling monthly for algae. So constant eyes on it, and I think if any of those new invasives are introduced, we'd catch them and hopefully be in that low density column. But that That'd be a change, so, you know, how you want to address any of those if they do get introduced, you know, whatever your choice is probably perfect. Any questions?
Yeah, I think this looks great. It's good work.
Thank you.
Now, we have, if there's any other invasive species come or a new management technique comes, you're coming back before us to ask for.
Correct, yeah, I volunteered that up there, and I'd
Perfect.
say, you know, require it.
Perfect. So, I'm happy with calling it a 10-year period for the O&M.
Yeah, you talked a lot about monitoring for invasives, okay? Do you do any water analysis to make sure that your aluminum sulfate program is putting the water in the correct concentration that you're looking for, and will that be reported?
Yeah, so we already do water quality, so we're testing for a suite of nutrients, specifically phosphorus is what alum targets. In terms of does that affect our dosing? No, it kind of affects do we use it or not. Dosing with alum is a little bit, I'll keep it brief because I know we're getting late here, but there's low dose, which is more of a precipitant, so it's like a 2 ppm, so very low that strips the water column. Then there's higher. Yeah, so
I'm just concerned that if something happens, the wrong guy gets on our pond and the sulfate, levels go up, if your program is not properly implemented, is there a control in place where we can sort of get things back to where they need to be, and is it visible to us?
if I understand your question correctly, there's monitoring for nutrients, right? In terms of alum, like too much being applied, is that kind of what you're concerned about?
Sure.
Yeah, so that.
If you put too much in, you might poison the water. If you
Yeah,
put
so
too
it's.
little in, you might get invasives back.
Correct, so it's a
there's a-
standard, yeah, it's a standard dose, very low dose, 2 ppm, that's what's been done. It actually comes in a tanker, and the tanker shows up, so it gets
Okay, I
pre-ordered
guess
by.
Let me ask it this way. Will we ever know if you overdose the water with alum?
I would say if you way overdose, I mean, if I did like 100 times what we put in, then you could potentially have harm to fish and things like that, but you're talking 100x.
Is that how we would know? We would have fish?
It would have to be like 100x what we do, and we're paying like $9 a gallon, so I mean, it would be like $100,000 mistake that
Will you know
I just
if
don't.
you overdose it? Okay, if you
We-
come
we
back
would-
monthly,
yeah, we-
if in February you dosed it, then you come back in March, will you know by the condition of the water, the chemical composition of the water, that it is or is not in the right range?
So the alum is gone, right? So it basically binds with, suspended solids and phosphorus in the water column, forms this heavier than water particulate called floc, and then settles down into the sediment. So then it's gone. There's no concentration of aluminum or anything like that. I think the other safe hold, right, just because I think I understand the question, I think the other safe hold is we also get a DEP permit. So Mass DEP, any sort of pesticide that goes in the water, we have to get a permit through them. So they look at product labels, dosing. So the only way that it would ever be overdosed or anything like that is if we were in clear violation of a Mass DEP permit, which, I mean, could happen on any project you work on, people violate it, right? But we're held to these standards through licenses and that permit for that dose.
Oh, okay. We just went through a situation where there was an oil spill right in one of the rivers in our town, okay? The response to that was glacially slow, and that's being kind. We don't want to be in that situation with you. So what do you have in place that prevents that? Or alerts us immediately so the corrective action can happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's such an impossible circumstance, I would say, right?
You don't
because
have
we
one. You wouldn't know.
If you screw up, is there a reporting requirement to us?
If we were to, which I couldn't imagine in a million years we could put into, we're using like a fraction of the label dose.
And they don't intend to tip over oil trucks on the bank of a river either, but it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only response to that is we'd probably be fined and we'd have to pay for any cleanup, right? I mean,
It's
I just-
larger than this venue here.
So what Jack's looking for is, what's the symptom? When the oil dumped into the river, we could see the oil.
Yep.
That was the symptom. If you put in 100 times too much alum, what's the symptom other than 6 months later, every fish floating to the top? What's the observable symptom that we can, if there is none?
There isn't. I mean,
Okay.
you would see negative effects probably to the ecosystem like dead fish if we way
So-
overtreated. But it would be instantaneous.
So other than
I
you
mean,
counting the empty gallons to make sure that's your method right now,
Yep.
is you count how many gallons you put in and they save the empties, right?
It comes in a tanker, right? So it's pre-ordered.
Okay.
There's a bill of landing. It comes on the truck. The truck only holds so much.
Yeah.
In order to get to any sort of negative impactful dose with something like an alum, I mean, there would have to be like 15 tanker trucks. Yeah, I mean, it would take us weeks to apply that. I just can't see it happening.
We tend to use less than more.
No.
Yeah, I mean, and frankly,
I understand the answer, I just.
Yeah, not to say
I know what Jack was
not to
looking
say
for. I
we
was trying
cut
to see if I could
corners,
help it.
and not to say we cut corners, but I think it's in all our best interest to treat as little as possible. I mean, we have flat fees, and if we put too much product in, we're literally throwing money into the water. So we have tight controls on this. We file the permits, everything's within labels, and then we follow the permits.
So we'll follow the money.
So, but.
Okay, one last question. If you do overdose this, if you do improperly treat the water with, this O&M plan, is there any danger to swimmers? Because this is a town beach.
Yeah.
On that water body. Is there any danger?
No, so specifically with alum, so just alum, copper sulfate and sonar, really the three products we've been using at Stevens Pond, there's no swimming, boating, or fishing restriction. Of course, that's within label rates, right? So, if somebody violates the law and goes way overboard, it's a different situation. But we're following product labels. The labels are the law. We always do that.
I'm
We
sure
treat,
you do.
thousands of ponds. I mean, so.
I don't think we're gonna solve this one tonight.
Jack, we can use you as a litmus paper.
Yeah, go swim, Jack, and if he dies, don't go in.
Go, Jack, go.
Do you guys test just, like you do for a pool, test the quality of the water to see if it's got too much of the ingredients or chemicals you just put in?
No, I mean, we know the dose that was applied, you know what I mean? We keep track, we have treat sheets, we have to report that to Mass DEP.
I know he's told us all
We
that.
have to get
Just
permits.
just what-
So
Stop,
no,
stop.
no,
Thank you,
no, not unless it's like we're trying to maintain a concentration for a specific amount of time, then we go in and we test to know how much more to add. But,
Like you said, it turns to flock and sink, so if you test the water, you're not gonna pick that up.
correct.
This is for vegetation control, not water quality.
No, I understand that, but you can test what's in there just by doing a test, I would think.
I mean, and then, most of the products we use have very short half-lives, right? So like even a Daiquat, which again, we haven't used at Stevens Pond, but it is approved. It's like 48 hours and it's gone.
Gotcha.
You all set?
Yes.
Joe?
Got a couple things, but I want to just continue the comments that my colleague had. But what wasn't said in so many words is you're licensed applicators. It's no different than hiring an exterminator at home. If he's putting poisons out, if he's treating your lawn with fertilizer or herbicides or pesticides, there's a prescribed method that you must follow professionally. And you're held responsible for it if you exceed it. And that's why even when you go to Home Depot, must be applied in accordance with these labels. You follow those practices. That's what
Correct.
drives it.
Yep.
So, it's not financially driven, though your boss would fire you if you spent that kind of money. The reality is you're professionally bound by meeting those standards, or they strip your license.
Correct.
So let's say that. Hydro raking shouldn't, I know the need is rare, we've never done it here. I don't want it as part of this extension. That's gonna be something, if hydro raking is needed, I think
Yep.
we want you coming back and applying for a special permit for that, because there's a whole bunch of shoreline impacts of where the barge dumps. and the timing of when that comes out and where it gets dumped. And we want to have a say in that.
Got it,
And
got
when
it.
that happens. So I think that should come off this longer-term plan that we might consider. I also think that the commission needs to be focusing on, so how long might we let these special conditions go? How many years might we let this be an ongoing, continuing maintenance process? And with that being said, the town bids this year to year. You're not gonna be the contractor in year 7, perhaps.
I hope we are, but you're right, yep.
But you may not be.
Yep.
So what we're really looking at is we're looking to, and thank you, because you've developed a framework with the exception of hydro raking that I think we were looking for.
Yep.
And I still understand the need for hydro raking, but I just don't want to simply give you guys the green light to
Understood.
do that now.
Understood.
So I think we're satisfied with that, but I think that I'd be looking at a period between like 5 and 7 years that we would extend this and not simply make it keep going.
Yeah.
Which would be almost like doubling what we normally would do now. That's my take on that. So if we take the hydro raking out and say, if we're looking at a framework of, let's say 7 years, that's where I'm coming from. And I am satisfied with your licensure and how it is you apply these things. We don't ask our wastewater treatment folks to give us our test results for water quality that we drink every day coming out of the lake, but they do it by their professional requirements as water treatment operators, and they have credentials that do that and tell them what they have to do, and laws. And you guys do the same thing. I'm satisfied.
This document is gonna bind any, say you screw up and you get fired, sorry. It's gonna bind any other person we bring in for this job as well? If the town bids it out again, are they gonna be bound by the same O&M plan?
Yes.
Like,
Is it a yearly bid process? Or do you have a contract?
Kind of. It gets complicated, but John, he's part of some master, like, statewide contract where he can, as long as we're approved under the statewide contract, he can do it. Just one comment with the hydro raking. So I think John wants to hydro rake this year, although the OOC is still active until August something. So we were gonna do it in the fall, just after the beach was closed, but I think I'll just tell him to bump it up and we'll do it under the existing OC. Obviously, tell Amy, make sure all the erosion control is in place. DPW handles the disposal, so it gets hauled off immediately. And that's not us. We don't do hydro raking in-house, so we have another company that does it, but yeah, makes sense. No. There was only the one company, Jerry's company, that now is somebody else, but there's another company that has custom-built hydro rake. One guy man operation, and John will handle the disposal, erosion controls in place, just the beach, the launch,
So the
from there.
current order conditions in place allows hydro raking?
It
Without-
does, yeah.
without additional permitting?
It does allow hydro raking, yeah. So it's under 100 cubic yards. It's not sediments. It's not changing the contours. It's just organic debris. So it's basically just raking, and it's not removing sediments or changing contours. So it's just that, but I agree, right? Proper erosion control should be in
It's
place.
corralling the stuff in the barge as you're moving and making sure that none of it stays waterborne and simply redistributes across. That's what's really critical about hydro raking.
Well, a hydro rake doesn't have any onboard storage. It's basically just going to take a scoop, and then it curls the arm, and it brings it to shore and drops it over the erosion control, and then it does the same thing and takes another scoop. It's a very slow process, and then DPW is removing that material. So, but it's not like a dredging, where dredging is like, 96% water concentration. It's like 50-50. So it does de-water, but it de-waters right back into the lake. But yeah, if you're not comfortable on the O&M plan, I respect it. But he does want to try and do it this year. We'll just have to do it a little sooner if need be.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so the question is, what, we're gonna do 7 or 10?
I think it's fair game to consider any of it. I mean, what we were trying to prevent is, we know that we need to manage the water, the invasive control in our beach. And it's only talking Stevens Pond itself.
Just Stevens,
The-
yeah.
By comparison, you made reference to Kitchwick, but.
Correct, yeah, I was
That's
just saying, we
under the
use
water
that in
department, yeah.
Kitchwick in the water
I
supply.
think 10 years is not unreasonable.
I agree. Is everybody comfortable with 10 years? Brad?
So moved.
All right.
second.
All those,
Do you want to allow resident comment, even though it's not a
This
hearing?
is an extension,
It's
modification.
an
It's not a public hearing.
modification. It's up to you.
This is an ongoing,
Public meeting, but it's a modification to an existing permit, so it's not a public hearing.
right, that's what
Totally up to you.
well, who wanted to speak?
Who would like to speak?
Briefly, please.
Yes, I realize it's late. Just have a couple questions.
Sure.
Are you the owner of the company?
Partial owner, yeah.
Partial owner, okay.
Excuse me, could you state your name and
Melinda
address?
Perone. My name is Melinda Perone, 65 Meadowwood Road.
Thank you.
Can you tell me what the origin of the phosphorus is in Stevens Pond? If you're not treating it in Lake Cochiguic, where's the phosphorus coming that's accumulating in Stevens Pond?
Yeah, so more often than not, it's internal recycling, right? So it's just organic material that's releasing nutrients constantly. So essentially, it releases that phosphorus back into the water. The aluminum strips that phosphorus out of the water column, and eventually will build kind of this flock layer that will help slow that phosphorus release from the sediment. But it's probably a combination from the watershed as well as internal recycling, but
So why don't you have it in Lake Cochiguic then? Why is the phosphorus not in Lake Cochiguic?
I'm sure there's phosphorus there too. I mean, it's obviously a massive, massive lake. I mean, it would cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to treat Lake Cochiguic, so.
So what is the cost of the work that you do for Stevens Pond over a one-year period?
It's probably in like the $20,000 range.
Okay. And then what's the cost for the hydro raking?
That's maybe like 9, something like that.
So that's over the period of 1 year, that you'd only be doing
Yeah,
9.
multiple fiscal years, but yeah. It's kind of splits the fiscal year because of the lake management season.
And so why is the treatment? I just want to get an understanding as to why you treat Stevens Pond.
Yep, so I would say two reasons. One, safety. Harmful algal blooms, we're trying to manage those proactively.
So that's the cyanobacteria?
Correct, yep.
Okay. And that's not for wildlife, but for?
Wildlife, ecosystem, safety of the swimmers, safety of abutters, a variety of things. Cyanobacteria is just an awful, awful thing. You see the lakes getting shut down. And there's been issues like that at Stevens Pond, so the alum proactively tries to limit the chances of cyanobacteria blooms.
Okay.
The other piece is invasive species, fanwort, curly leaf pondweed. There's just several invasive species in there.
And so why don't you get the invasive species in Lake Cochiguic?
There may be invasive species in Lake Cochiguic. It's just a different, that's direct water supply, so it's a little bit different ballgame from a management perspective and things like that. So it has limited options, and the water department manages Cochiguic. They just call us to test the water on occasion, and so it's one of those things that we're kind of just there as a resource, but they're dealing with Cochiguic, so.
Okay, that was my question.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right,
Thank you.
so we need a motion? Or not?
Then I think the only question is the hydro raking. I don't want to go against you. I don't know if it's up for debate and or we just don't include it.
Do you have a motion?
So out of all the measures that you can employ here
Thought I
to
did.
get the job done, hydro raking is the most invasive. It's the one that's digging up the bottom, creating turbidity. There are some breakaways that can float away and reseed. So the functionality of that is in the water itself is a difficult thing. And then when you bring it to shore, to make sure where it's put, where it's laid down, how far away, how does it decant? Does anything drain back into the lake that's being decanted? How does it get gathered up and how frequently? And where does it ultimately get disposed of? Last thing we want, again, these are all aquatic invasives, I hope. So if we compost them, the reality is probably the best thing you can do for them. But you also got to make sure they're not getting into other water bodies.
Yeah, so we put a thing in there that, and even this year, right, the plan was to kill those invasives before the hydro raking. That way you're not risking fragmentation and things like that. So strategic, but I agree, right? It definitely is the most invasive thing. It's, it creates turbidity. It does settle out typically within 24 hours, but it's, just raking, removing that organic debris. I just know John really wants it, but, if you're not comfortable with it, I'm fine with it.
I'm not saying they're not comfortable, I'm just saying that I think by virtue of a 10-year permit, I think we need to know about it when you're looking to employ it in future years. A little surprised to hear this is one of those years. So I think we really, at some point, need to talk about it, and maybe Amy can do that with just an administrative action, because the permit is currently valid, which allows hydro raking.
Yeah.
But really can't do much about that on this one, but I kind of want to strike it for the longer range one.
So it's, okay,
Understood.
so
Do we have a motion?
we have a motion, do we have a second?
What's the motion?
What's the motion?
To institute us with 10-year plan.
Second.
That eliminates hydro raking.
Exclusive of the hydro raking. So in accordance with the outline,
Right.
for the purposes outlined for the species. and
Understood.
methods of control,
Yep.
minus the hydro,
Got it.
excluding the hydro raking.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Enforcement order. I'll just do the continuance, 416 Abbott Street, requesting continuance to 6/12.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 85 Colonial Drive.
Alrighty, so Commission will recall that, there was some non-compliant structures at the rear of the house in the 50. It changed hands, the new homeowner was on the hook to remedy those, the non-compliance. And basically, in, I think it was 97, the then, Conservation Administrator had approved a deck that was cantilevered and the footings were outside of the 50, or just at the 50. And it shows on a plan that we have on record with his initials and approval. So the commission had to issue an enforcement order to put the new owner on notice that these are still non-compliant, and issued an enforcement order ordering that all the non-compliant, unapproved structures be removed by, I think it was May 8th or something like that. So, they did submit a building permit for the demolition, and I had correspondence with the contractor and to make sure that we were all on the same page on what was getting demolished, and I thought we were all on the same page. Come to find out that all of the shell area was removed. The patio was reduced and the hot tub was removed. Fire pit was removed as well. And so basically what was left was this section of the deck where the footings are closer to the house is the section that was approved under the 97 plan by the Conservation Administrator. This section that juts out was not shown, was not part of the approval. So I spoke to the homeowner and he wanted to explore some options. And I'm going to hand it over to him and his attorney to talk to you about a potential meeting in the middle, somewhere. So I'll give it to you guys.
Great, if you're ready for me. Dawn Bornstein, I'm an attorney with the Office of Johnson and Bornstein. We're located at 12 Chestnut Street in Andover. It's good to be back before you again. And I represent Evan Jones. Evan is the current homeowner. He's sitting next to me right now. Just to briefly explain how we got here. So this home was built in the mid-90s. Not long after, I believe, the bylaw and the regulation came into effect, around that period of time. It was owned by the same homeowners for a long period of time. Evan and his wife put this under contract to purchase in 2022. The day before the closing, their attorney picked up the fact that there was an order of conditions unresolved on the record title, so no certificate of compliance. It appeared to be, and believed by Evan to be, basically a paperwork problem. It was scheduled to close, and they had their financing teed up, and like anyone who's bought a home, they were on the edge of closing that transaction. They went ahead with the transaction with an agreement from the seller that the seller would clear up the problem, then believed by Evan and his wife to be a paperwork issue, a missing certificate of compliance. No idea of violations or actually any problems on the ground. The sellers went out and they had a year under the agreement drafted by the closing attorney to deal with the paperwork problem. A year went by, no communication from them to the Joneses, and they first learned that this is more than a paperwork problem when your enforcement order issues a year later in November of 2023. So they get this enforcement order that we're talking about tonight, realize that it's more than what they had originally expected, or completely different animal. They move forward in the spring of this year to do some, to try and come in compliance with that enforcement order. You can see the photographs. If we could roll back just a second, Amy. I mean, the prior owners had kind of made a playground of the place. They had extended the patio. They'd put in a fairly substantial fire pit. They'd added a hot tub. They put a section of fencing. And then they also turned the deck into more living space, into like a 3-season room. It had a TV, it had a bar in it. A pretty, I mean, in essence, an addition. And Evan, I think to his credit, has dealt substantially with many of those items. So just about everything I've mentioned has now been removed. If we could scroll down to the bottom, maybe we can see what's there. So that picture probably shows it. He's cleared all that stuff out, and what remains is the hard stuff. So he was hoping to be able to take those posts, bring them outside the 50, so they're a couple feet in the 50. He was hoping to bring them outside the 50 and be able to cantilever that. You can see it, right? That's a good picture right there, Amy. Thank you. Be able to cantilever it. His contractor's telling him it's not really realistic. It's too large a run for a cantilever. Maybe you could have some kooky bracing system or something, but it's probably mean it's got to be torn out. I just met up with Evan last week. I reviewed, had the titles run, found a whole bunch of orders and conditions out for this area. Found this, and it looks like you folks found this this as-built plan from '97, which had an explicit sign off from the agent at that time for a cantilever deck. It actually showed the patio on it. And the patio, as originally built, and that's what's left there, does extend a few feet into the 50. The practical problem he's running into is if he does that technical compliance with your enforcement order, he loses the deck. He's got 3 foot of patio. He basically has no usable sitting space in his backyard. He's got nothing left out there. He really has no sort of comfortable use of that limited backyard space, that limited seating area between the deck and the patio. What we're asking the commission, and before, Evan's original thought was, well, let's go out and let's get a plan and draw something up and come to them with something. And I kind of put the brakes on that. I said, before we start planning or whatnot, let's go to the commission. You've got a meeting coming up anyhow. Let's talk to them. Let's explain to them sort of what we're dealing with, show them what we've done, because we've made some good progress. I mean, Evan did a lot of work this spring. Tore out pieces of this house to come into compliance with a 26-year-old problem, not of his making, not understood as a problem when he purchased this home. And let's talk to the commission and put some ideas on the table and get some feedback. So what we're thinking about here is we'd like to keep the patio and keep the deck. We understand that's an intrusion of a certain amount into the 50-foot area. We do have some space on the side of the house, both inside the 50 and just outside the 50. So, yep, right at the back of what you can see here. And what we'd be prepared to do is designate that area as in essence no disturb. So basically treat it like the 25, demarcate it and plant it at some ratio above what we're asking to keep in that patio and deck area. I spoke to Greg Hockmuth earlier today, who I think the commission is familiar with. He's looked at the paperwork, he's reviewed the site. He feels comfortable that he could propose a planting area in that corner of the site that would be, well in excess of what we're looking for the commission to allow as remaining disturbance within the 50. We don't have anything to show you tonight because we really just want to talk about it and get a concept on the table. I'm walking in cold to this situation. I don't really know what the history is. It sounded like the prior owner sort of knocked around with the commission for maybe a while and didn't get anything done. Nothing really got done until Evan took the bull by the horns when he figured out this is an actual problem, not a paperwork problem. He's made a good faith effort. He's a new resident in town. He's just trying to have some remaining reasonable use in that in the back of his home, some little bit of private outdoor space. So with that, I'll kind of quiet down and just see if I can get some input and comments from the agent, the commissioners, and see what you think.
Thank you. Brad, any comment?
Sounds like you spent a lot of money to tear out some pretty cool stuff already.
So far, for sure.
Raw deal so far. So is the disconnect that they got a plan approved for where they were gonna cut down the deck to, and then they built it out a little bit further? Is it just that little bump out that we see right there?
This,
Yeah.
Yeah, so those down posts you see, so the posts closer to the house, those are pretty much right on the 50. They're just outside the 50. And you see those other posts, they're about 2 foot square. The base of them, they're 3 feet or so, 4 feet into the 50. And that's the troublesome piece.
Is that new deck above it, or is that the old deck that was there?
That, we believe that's all been there since
That's
the
existing.
90s.
with the shell.
Yeah, and it had, below all of that decking was this 3-season porch that had floor, electric, water, I think, with the bar. I mean, it was living space. But all that's gone now, and really just what he's trying to salvage out of this whole situation, having thought he bought a house with a 3-season room and a bar and a hot tub and a fire pit. He's trying to save a place he can set up a few chairs, maybe have dinner out in the patio or the deck. That's what we're down to, and that's what we're looking for a little cooperation from the commission on.
It sounds like we got a homeowner that's trying to do the right thing here. I'm kind of inclined to give him a break on this one, but I want to hear what the other commissioners have to say.
Thank you. Jack?
Well, what I think of is the kind of the Joe Lynch standard of evaluating projects, and if it were coming to us today as a new project proposal without anything being built, would we approve it or not? This is definitely in the gray area. It is, okay, it looks like the narrow deck was approved. Looks like the patio was also approved, and the edge of that patio is within the 50. So what's at issue here is I'll call it the deck expansion in exchange for a replication area. That's sort of what the trade-off is. We've done it. I think we've done it in the past. We do it reluctantly, but it's something that we do consider. Where it's already built, I tend to lean toward the trade, and that's really all I have.
Yeah?
So I'm looking at the record drawing from May 12th, 1997, and I see Mike, it appears Mike okayed a portion of the deck. What section of the deck is it that Mike approved? If you can go back to that picture of what's remaining. So what portion of that deck was approved by Michael?
These 3 footings right here.
Okay.
Are recessed, and this cantilevered.
Okay, so what I'm seeing there with the 3 footings was approved by Mike in 97.
Yeah,
So what not approved? The end of it?
this bump out.
And how many square feet is that bump out?
That's a good question.
70. I think it's
70.
like 5 by, maybe less than that, 5 by 10, 50, would make sense. 4 feet, 4 or 5 feet by 10 feet.
And-
Introduce yourself.
Oh, Evan Jones, by the way, I'm the homeowner. I've
So
met you guys in the
you
past.
think it's about 70 square feet approximately?
Yeah, or less. I mean, 5 by 10 would be my guess.
And
so
how
5
far
by
does it
12.
encroach into the no-build zone?
That's the portion that would be.
So
beyond
that whole
50.
section right
Yeah,
there would be,
just a bump out
whatever
section.
that is, so that's the encroachment. You're proposing replication, what are you proposing for a ratio of replication?
That's why we're here to,
You have choices, 1 to 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1.
The lower numbers are better, Evan.
yeah.
So as they say in Hawaii, wider is better. So,
Okay. I mean, whatever you find reasonable, 3 to 1, 5, it's whatever. I have a lot, this whole side yard is.
I tend to like the 3 to 1 replication.
Okay.
Or more. I consider that to be a minimum, personally. I'm not only speaking for me. So what I'm saying is, because we have an approval that was issued in '97 by the administrator at the time, and we have an encroachment of approximately 70 square feet. I don't think that's unrepairable. I think that it can be managed with the replication. So I would want to see a replication area of at least 3 to 1, and I would be in favor of leaving the encroachment, voting for a waiver to allow the continued existence of the encroachment. That's what I see, Mr. Chairman.
One, first question I have, those posts that are on that deck now, are those, were they just temporary to hold the deck up? Because that don't look very sturdy to me.
No, I think those are
Those
how
are
it
the-
was constructed
yeah.
and how it's been, yeah.
The way that's set up, to have that, that's gonna, that valley column on the end is supporting that whole side? Go back up,
Zoom out a little bit.
go,
That one right there?
that one right there. The first one.
It looks good to me. What are you looking at?
It's one post holding up that whole, the whole side, the whole end.
Oh, you
Yeah, but
may
it's
not
just-
see-
it's
there-
just-
There's 3 of them. There's
Yeah, but the first one,
Yeah, but the load is divided. That load is divided by 3.
okay, you say so. My other question,
What you're not seeing, actually, right there, pop it there. What you're not seeing, Lou, I don't think, is there's a beam on top of those
Yeah.
columns. So structurally.
oh, there is a big.
There's a beam up there
Oh, okay.
holding the joints in and out.
I just
So
thought
the
that.
posts are holding the beam. So
I just
that's
thought
a-
that post was holding up that end.
and I think it goes without saying, building inspector. This was done with a permit by the building inspector.
This was done with a permit?
Yeah.
The demo was.
Yeah.
I don't know about the building of it, but
Well,
the
those
demo
weren't there
was.
before. When the bottom was all finished, those posts weren't there.
They were through the structure.
Yeah, they were inside, those aren't new posts, they were inside the,
Because you had a
or
bar
those posts were the original design.
Those are original? The metal?
No,
Oh,
the-
where they
Yeah,
connect looks
because they
so
were
shiny.
protected.
No,
Because they were
the-
protected
Oh, wow.
with the shell.
Yeah, wow.
That's why.
So they're saying that those posts are in here?
Yeah.
But there's been no structural change to the decking, the surround, the screening's been pulled out.
Not that it makes any difference. Now, I'm looking at the condition, is the deck in good condition?
Yeah, the deck's good. It's
Okay.
in very good
I mean,
condition.
so it's not gonna be.
My contractors, if you scroll down to the ripped out portion, see how, maybe one more. Please. Thank you. See how there's like they ripped out the bottom half and they didn't pretty it all up because I didn't know how this conversation would go. But you see there's like a hanging electrical, there was an outlet there. We wanted to figure out how this would go to see if I'd rip it all out first. So he'll clean it all up, like you see how there's some exposed wood there. We'll put a little white covering on that. But that was all dependent on where we
The other
landed
thing
on
you were
this.
asking for was the patio, not where the fire pit was, just where the hot tub was.
Correct, where the patio that housed the fire pit is already gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can
I get
kind
it.
of see
And stuff
you can
that-
kind of see the
stuff
gravel
was
that was
shared.
underneath it in the photo.
Okay, like I said, I mean, if they're, as far as, I agree with Jack and, well, Joe hasn't spoken yet, but I know what he's saying.
I'm not sure you do.
Huh?
I'm not so sure you do. I'm actually, this was
No.
pretty reasonable.
I know. So, I mean, I think they've done their share. I mean, I'm not looking for any,
If he'd come to me first, I would have had him keep the hot tub.
yeah.
It was gone when I got there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would, what's on there is, the only thing I would have been after you on was the fire pit and the enclosure on the bottom. But, okay, I'm all set.
Shouldn't surprise anybody, but I think it should be the way it was, as it was designed, and anything that's within 50 feet needs to be removed. The Conservation Commission didn't do anything wrong. The homeowner has claims against the prior owner. You know, I's weren't dotted, T's weren't crossed when it came time to sell this house. If they had been, this would have come up then, and this issue wouldn't be in front of us. It would have been an issue for somebody else.
I agree. I just remember now, you bought this off a family that the daughter was an attorney.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Vaguely.
The daughter was the attorney representing.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, that's got nothing to do with what we're doing here.
No, but I'm just saying, but we had the same discussion about that.
Yeah.
We were telling her to take it down, and she refused.
I
And
don't
then these,
remember that.
and then these people said that they were gonna buy it
Yeah.
and worry about it later. So now we're at later.
Yeah, so,
But they
so-
took down just about everything,
I know.
except for that small section of the deck, which
Right.
doesn't
No, I'm-
offend me.
I'm fine with, I'm just saying, just giving a little history, that's all.
Yep, yep. And so my position is, get everything outside of the 50 and put it in compliance with the order of conditions as they existed. Okay, period, amen.
I admire your consistency.
Thanks.
I disagree this time though.
I knew you would.
Because my recollection's a little different than Lou's, but not that far different. The prior owner, the seller, in angst and trying to get a certificate of compliance because they needed to, knew 100% what the problem was. They knew the magnitude, they knew every gory detail, they knew what they did and what others had done. They knew all of this, whether they disclosed it or not. They told us they were going to get an agreement with the buyer to make this all happen. We all sat here flabbergasted that that's what they would say in a public session. But you could probably look back on that if you need to. But I see now, even though buyer beware should have been aware, I believe there was a lot of misleading going on here, and this buyer, this current owner, this new resident of town, has done yeoman's work in trying to meet, to the extent that he can, everything that it is we're asking for. And there is an impossibility to return it back to 50 without short of taking it down and losing space. And I think that, though if this was coming in fresh, we would probably not consider 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 5-to-1 replication. We would simply say, no, don't do it. But I think in this instance, what I'm looking at in the juxtaposition of what this site is, this yard is, I'd rather have them recreate in the outdoors, elevated near the wetland, than on the ground next to the retaining wall, doing the same thing. So I think getting replication in the concept of bringing this passive recreation up above is a good thing in the overall scheme of things. So I think, in my mind, I just developed an alternative analysis that I'm satisfied with, and I don't think I'm settling. So I think that I'd be looking for replication or restoration or some sort of conversion of yard space in the appropriate location. So let's talk more specific about that. I mean, is there a corner of the yard? There's a vent. I don't think there's a sewer. I mean, septic. I think there's sewer in this neighborhood. I don't know what that vent is. Are you talking about bringing it up the edge? Because it maybe doesn't make as much sense if we can't keep it more down towards the end in the corner.
I think we're talking about exactly what you're saying, is basically keep it as close to the wetland as we can. At the very back of this photo, there would be room to do, a 3-to-1 replication. Yeah, that's probably, just to the right of where we're looking at now, sort of at the right foot of the picture taker here, I think is, where we're looking at. So that'd probably be an appropriate place. I think we'll be able to come up with a nice little planting plan that Greg will put together for us. And,
I respect Sean's position. I mean, he is very consistent.
I've heard it before, I've never liked it, but I have heard it.
I'm usually in lockstep with them.
No
On this,
surprises.
on this one, I simply have a little more sympathy, and I understand the circumstances, and I just can't believe the former owner would have gone to the extent that they did to not disclose it. To what extent they didn't disclose. I don't know what they did, other than we were flabbergasted. They were satisfied to passing the buck on to the other guy, to the
I'm
new
a,
buyer.
I'm a little disappointed by the circumstances we have here, but I think what we've discussed is as reasonable a workout as we could hope for, so.
So I use that in context of what great effort this gentleman has shown in trying to do the best, so I'm all set.
So come up with a plan. Come back with a plan that reflects what we said.
Okay.
So a ratio that includes the deck that was not permitted and the patio? Or do you guys, I mean, the patio was
Patio
shown
was
on
permitted.
that
Well,
plan.
I would say the patio is allowed. They've taken out the area that wasn't.
Okay.
So what's remaining looks to agree with this 97 plan.
Right, okay. All right, so we mitigate for the deck that wasn't approved.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're
All right.
comfortable at 3 to 1?
Yeah.
It's not gonna be that much, it's only about 70-something square feet. It's not gonna be that much, they're not gonna be, even at 5 to 1, they're not gonna be losing that much.
It's literally just boxing out a corner.
That's all they're doing is boxing the corner and making sure that the plants are appropriate.
Yeah, I think it can be done nicely. It can probably replace some of that privacy that's
Some
been
nice
lost from the
yeah,
fence.
Wetland
and-
species that'll
yeah.
work there, and it'll actually be a nice enhancement.
Yeah, I think.
So we want to continue to June 12th, have them come back with a
With that.
a mitigation plan?
I'll move that, continue to June 12th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank
All right.
you.
Great, thank you for your time.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, Commission.
Next one. This is the- Huh?
Martin Ave,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, 68-70 Orchard Ave. Oh, we have to, we gotta go to Court Street. We'll take,
Take care of Thor for 49 Equestrian, since he's been sitting here.
did I miss it?
Let's do that.
It's on the back.
Oh, it's on the back. Oh, more surprises. Okay, let's go to 49 Equestrian.
All right, so, all right, so this came about through an animal permit.
It was an electrical permit was pulled, and then it came through the building department, and they realized the structure was too large to go without a building permit, which got conservation involved.
So Justine visited the site. It's a chicken coop that's really an impressive structure.
Mr. Purdue would be proud.
Yeah, right. And it's in the 25, regrading, clearing of the understory vegetation, and importation of gravel to level the ground beneath the chicken coop occurred in the 25. In order to get to the chicken coop, a wetland crossing was installed, so a couple of culverts were installed with gravel on top. We issued an enforcement order requiring cease and desist, engage the services of a wetland consultant no later than May 22nd, and then attend the May 22nd to discuss appropriate corrective actions. While researching the history of the property, we found that there is an outstanding order of conditions for DEP file 242982, where the construction of the house has not been obtained. So we'll need to close that up as well. So Thor is here this evening. So they are complying with our first couple of directives. So we basically need an as-built plan for the property for the certificate of compliance. And we'll need a removal and restoration plan for the coop and the crossing, anything that wouldn't have been allowed. And I guess we kind of need some timelines. I don't know if there's anything you want to add, or?
I think it's a really nice chicken coop, and I wish it could stay, but
You just went from hell to the fire. Brad?
It's hard to express. I mean, I guess this falls under our homeowner, oops, I didn't know I could do that. At least they've retained you and gotten you here quickly. Is that the impression we've gotten so far?
yeah, I mean, he went to get a permit from the town, and he was like, I need to hook up the electrical to get the, get lights or whatever out here, and he thought he didn't know he couldn't do it. He's not from around here, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I'll enter in this in the spirit of that. But yeah, we're gonna,
Yeah,
I mean, I think you know that all of that's gotta come down. We gotta, stream crossings gotta be pulled out. We gotta look at what they've dumped into the stream to do that crossing. So, I think you know you got some work ahead of you.
we certainly do. I've seen worse, but it's not great.
Yeah. I got nothing else.
Yeah,
I look
this-
forward to seeing what you bring.
I guess I'll state the obvious, there's a lot of problems with this condition in its current state. Give us an option to get it back in compliance.
Bring the site into compliance.
I just hope they enjoyed their chicken coop while it lasted.
In my opinion, if they didn't do it on purpose, it's fine, it can stay.
No questions.
Touche. It's already been said.
That was perfect.
I don't want to mislead anybody. We're talking specifically from the conservation perspective. I mean, are there building permit issues out here? Are there other things?
Oh, yeah, he didn't get a building permit for the chicken coop.
I mean, are we putting the copy, are we simply saying it's gotta go,
Oh, it's gotta go.
period?
Yeah.
So don't even bother doing it, and then restoration.
Yeah.
It's gotta go in restoration,
Right.
that's all we're looking for.
Right,
Bring it
right.
into
So, so we should set a deadline for the restoration plan. And then they're gonna have to work on an as-built for the COC.
3 months.
3 months for what?
3 months to restore it, restore
Well,
it
I'd
and bring it
like
into
to see-
compliance.
That's kind of.
Is that too long? 3 months too
Well,
long?
no, but I wanna
think
see a
it's
plan before,
How long do you-
means, methods,
I
erosion
understand you want to see a
controls,
plan, but I mean,
replanting
it's really not that complicated. They gotta take everything down, take everything out, and just restore it. I mean, they gotta take the coop down, and they gotta take the culverts out, and they gotta restore the bank.
Do you want to see an as-built as it is now, or once it's finished?
Well, looking at old plans from when the property was first proposed, it looks like if they're gonna relocate the coop, they would have to permit with us anyways, because most of the property is within 100 feet of wetlands.
Let them,
Yeah.
let them
But
bring
I
the
don't wanna
place,
get caught up in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They may be looking at, in their own minds, a reasonable timeframe, but maybe a year or two before we actually move it. No, I think
Bring it into
relocating this is not gonna be fitting our timetable. I
bring it
don't
into
think.
Okay,
compliance.
so restoration
Yeah.
and compliance.
Bring the site into compliance and then apply for whatever you want. No ifs, ands, or buts, no screwing around. Bring it into compliance and then come back with your plans when we have time to talk about it.
Yeah, and they can't do it, and to let them know they can't get it, a new application until they get rid of this one.
Right.
So the question was, an as-built plan now or after, I think there's something in between. I don't wanna spend money
No, no.
surveying, I think what we wanna say is, present to us how you're gonna restore it, how you're gonna restore it. And we wanna have some measurable matrices to be able to go out and say, you've done a good job, you have restored it. That's all, because doing an existing as-built plan out is just a waste of money.
Yeah, okay.
Waste of time, too.
And you don't know what other violations you're gonna find, right, concerning the house itself, because it's never been in front of us.
Yeah, we're only looking at what we're seeing.
Yep.
But I think 3 months is too long.
Okay.
Well, Do you guys wanna see
I think
some
we have to
sort
break
of
it in- we
narrative
have to
on
break it in
how things-
slices.
A narrative and a planting plan?
I personally don't need to see one, but if you want to see one, have them bring it in 2 weeks. It would only take 2 weeks to come up with a narrative on how they're going to take down a chicken coop and get it out of there. We're not putting up the Twin Towers here.
For June,
Yeah, I could do that by June,
for June 12th?
June 12th.
Just a narrative.
Just a narrative, but,
And a planting schedule.
and then, once it's restored, we can do the as-built
Do the
for the COC and.
I mean, this might be the most simple
Site.
thing we've ever had. Just take it down and get it out.
Okay.
Well, there's.
So that
there-
as the COC will be able to pick up.
Right,
this
what's
area.
the restored area.
So it serves a second purpose.
Yes, yep.
Yes,
So,
okay.
Do they need to reflag the wetlands to do this?
Not to restore it, they don't.
Not to restore.
Well, just to, I mean, if you're gonna try to get a plan as to how far the wetlands are away from the structures, you need to measure the wetlands and reestablish.
Well, they're pretty much 10 feet from the wetland, I mean.
Yeah, I measured 7 at the closest, but it's kind of hard to tell. I think Thor, you said something similar. But then the crossing is directly in the wetland itself, so.
What about the house? Is the house far away from the wetland? Or we don't know?
it's, I looked at the record plans, it was like 51 feet,
Really?
so
So.
makes
you
me
know,
a little
these
nervous.
tapes and- Yeah.
I
so
hope
that-
it's okay, but,
yeah.
but we'll find out later, I guess, when we do our survey.
I mean, look at this last photograph, the one that shows the coop itself. Again, photographs can be misleading, but looking at the trees, looking at this apron of earth disturbance around the coop, it looks like fill was brought in. I mean, it's filled, right?
Oh, yeah.
Was that wetland, or is that all buffer zone?
I would say where the coop is, it probably wasn't wetland. There's a little bit of a natural slope along the side of it, Justine, but on the back, there were some boulders. Yeah, I think he did elevate the area a little bit, and the boulders were probably right on the edge of the wetland.
Is enough physical evidence for you to come up with a restoration plan?
Certainly I can describe everything and how the commission would like to see it, and I'm sure we'll have some back and forth, as we always do, but it's up to you if you want a plan or a narrative, whatever, helps you all make the best, most informed decision.
Narrative with a plant schedule, with a narrative on how you're gonna restore.
Yeah, so I'm prepared to give them that one more meeting to hear that narrative, and then at that point, really pass out milestones with real definite dates on those. But I think 3 months to carry it out and complete it is just unreasonable, but I think there needs to be things said, like when you're going to apply for certificate of compliance, and when it is you're gonna do things, and when you're going to carry it out, and then, and then whether we look for some sort of monitoring for,
So like you
is
said,
that
so in
restoration.
2 weeks, they should be giving us their plan of getting rid of this.
And I'm saying, I think tonight to pass all those timetables is just unrealistic. We
can't
need to
do
know
that.
more.
No, I know.
So, yeah, at the next meeting, that's what I'm prepared to do.
And so when you say 3 months is unreasonable, meaning too much time or
But
too?
no, what Lou was coming from
Not
is-
enough time?
Too much.
No,
It's
no
not,
near
what,
enough
to
to
take
carry
the
this
coop
out.
down and
Nowhere
restore
near
the
enough.
area?
Okay,
3 months?
not enough.
No, no.
No,
Well-
it's too much.
That's what I said. He's just,
I don't think it's enough to carry, I mean, we're talking about 3 weeks right off the bat to the next meeting.
That
Yeah.
coop could be
Right?
disassembled in
Yeah,
3
but then you
days.
have to scrape all that out to get back to,
gotta see what's even
you
there.
know.
Yeah. So we don't know how long it's gonna take, 'cause we don't know.
I would
Yeah.
definitely not go more than 2 months.
Do
Let's
we
see,
even
let's,
want them digging in the stream
I-
right now, too?
Well, no, you
Why
probably
don't we-
leave those
yes,
in because they
dead
wanna
of
go
summer,
back and
do
forth
that.
with the
Yeah.
stuff. So that's gonna be the last thing that they take out
Right.
Right.
after they restore.
That's right.
What kind of
So-
stream is that? Is it perennial? Is it named stream?
It's pretty small. When I saw it, it wasn't really flowing, actually. There's a very small wetland that comes up behind the coop.
I'm not sure.
It's definitely intermittent, yeah.
where's the Equestrian Drive, Amy? I'm
Up
drawing a
Salem
blank.
Street.
It's off Olympic.
Top of Olympic.
Yeah, so I was in the right area.
All right, so
So
we'll
again,
continue to June 12th. We'll direct them to provide a restoration narrative and a planting schedule. And then, maybe you can help us with timetables.
Yep. Okay.
And then we can issue the enforcement order at that time. Is that all right?
Yes.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Well, you've been a couple trophy ones today.
I know.
Thanks, Thor. sure.
All right,
All right.
thank you. All right. Next, all right, so we're going back to Autran Ave. 68,
Oh, yeah, can you just vote to continue to the 12th?
So moved. Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Court Street it's just staying still. So we're gonna do no action on that one.
Right.
And so the next one is 68/70 Autran Ave.
So, at the beginning of April, the North Andover Conservation Department received an anonymous report of unwarranted dumping of yard waste and other debris into the wetland resource area between Autran Avenue and the Heritage Green condominium. Upon further investigation, the specific items that were discarded included leaf litter, tree branches, cinder blocks, and pieces of lumber. A violation notice was sent to the property owner explaining how dumping negatively affects wetland resource areas and that it may be contributing to the flooding impacting his backyard. We have received multiple complaints of flooding from this very property, as well as many other residents along Autran Avenue and at Heritage Green condominiums. This letter asked that the dump debris be cleaned up by April 17th and announced that Conservation Department staff would be inspecting the property later that week to ensure compliance. Upon that site inspection, none of the debris had been removed, and we had heard nothing from the property owners. A second violation notice was mailed asking them to attend tonight's meeting, which they did not. And then on May 1st, I got a call from the same anonymous caller informing me that the violator was dumping more material over the fence. And I went and checked it out again on May 15th and concluded that more leaves and lawn material and woody debris had been added to this pile. No effort has been made to contact us other than to complain about the flooding coming from this very wetland.
Okay.
Is this deja vu? Same property from like a year ago?
It's not neighbors. Yeah, it's
It's near there, but it's
Yes.
different neighbor.
different neighbors near there.
This isn't the guy that was on pictures
him on
and
video?
video?
No,
Not
no,
that guy.
different. Same exact wetland.
That's what my mind was, the same
I was gonna say, I thought I saw this before. This looks like we've seen this before, but the
Can't
last
be
No,
one,
far
it's,
away.
it's, I think one or two houses over.
it's one or two houses.
It's a team effort now.
So we have a mutiny taking place over there.
Apparently.
So we just gotta start finding, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think it's
Can we
time.
go back retroactive or is it as of tonight?
No, go back.
I'd like to go back to the first notice, or at least the first one they ignored.
Yeah,
So the first notice they ignored was the second notice they got, right? When did you send the second notice out?
That
April
was April 30th. And then, yeah, I got another report on May 1st saying they were dumping more things, so I gave them a few weeks to receive the second letter before I went and did another inspection, and they still hadn't cleaned anything up.
So it sounds like April 30th would be a good date to start the fines on.
I'd say just start it from today.
Start them today?
Start
Okay,
today.
okay.
I disagree.
All right.
I think they should be fined just for their
I agree, but
disregard.
I wanna be able to do it and win. I wanna collect this fine.
What's the basis for finding somebody from when backdating fines?
We send these
They've been
certified
noticed,
mail,
they've
we
been-
just send them regular mail, we drop them off in the mailbox. How do we know they actually got it?
I don't remember.
Do we state anywhere, have we already informed them that we're finding them by the day?
No.
Not yet.
Then you can't just
You
say,
can't-
we're
you can't
gonna
go
go
back
back.
I think it's just
We're
regular
fighting back
mail,
for
we
3
don't
years
have
ago.
receipts or
All right.
certificates.
So start them today.
Yeah.
Start them today.
Fine start today.
So a motion and a second to start fines today.
Okay, all those in favor say aye?
And
Aye.
then that would be what, until we receive compliance, like until they.
We're not gonna say when we're gonna stop.
Just until we hear from them about the
We'll
fines.
make that decision when,
Tell them, have them make sure they come next meeting.
yeah, show up at the meeting and they can ask that question themselves
Okay.
in person.
Okay.
I saw that you need us to officially adopt the enforcement order, is that right?
Yes.
Or, I mean, we haven't sent an official enforcement order, just violation notices up to this point. There's been no official enforcement order.
All right, so we'll,
So hold up, we're gonna find
Issue
a
one
certain
tonight.
amount a day, but we're not gonna be able to do anything until a certain period of time, but finding them daily doesn't make a lot of sense if they can't do anything about it.
what do you mean?
They denied themselves the opportunity to hear what it is we expect them to do by not being here tonight. Had they appeared here tonight, we might have taken a different action. They ignored it.
Yeah, they're
They-
totally
they-
ignoring
They
it.
chose on their own to not be here. They denied themselves that opportunity. I
Two
think Friday
violation
tonight
notices were
is
mailed.
fair.
Two violation
It's
notices.
fair.
Did we figure out your question, though? Do we know that they received these, like, for sure?
If
We get
it's
certified
regular
mail?
mail, we assume that. They can refuse certified mail. But when you send it first-class mail and it doesn't get bumped back to us, it went to them.
I think we should, like, you fine them for today, for starting today. They failed to appear.
They should have gone.
They should have got one or the other.
It's reasonable to start today, we can always
Right.
amend it down the road if we have to. But today would be a reasonable day.
So,
Right, so we-
and then issue an enforcement order that establishes that.
Cease and desist and appear at the next hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe it.
In a resource
believe it.
area?
I believe it.
Yeah,
It's going on all
Friday
the
and
time.
So we don't
It's
want
going on
to
all
order
over
him to
town,
start
every
cleaning
house.
up yet. We want him to come in first.
That other guy
We
clean
want
up
him to
the
clean
We
up.
he
wanted,
made?
we wanted
Say-
them
say again?
The other
from
guy,
the get-go.
the other guy that
It's
who
stuff
cut
out of
from
there.
moving,
We probably
we
wouldn't
caught him on
even
video
want
at
to
the
do that.
So clearing, yeah.
You'll have to ask for
So,
it.
yeah, they both want us
I
to
don't know what
continue to
time
do
that
all of that.
If you
Not,
need-
not cease and desist. Cease and desist, dumping, but
Yeah.
cleaning up.
Amy, the other guy that was on video, did he ever clean up his area?
We gave the condominium permission to remove that debris because it was contributing to flooding and that
Oh,
was.
so they did.
Yeah.
So that guy got off.
That was largely because how we're gonna expect him to go on someone else's property and clean, is what it came down to.
And they denied it was him. He denied it.
All right, so is there a motion for that one?
Yes.
Okay, Sean, second?
Nate.
Al,
Al.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yes, all are in favor.
All right. 129 Forest Street has asked for continuance. They are working on figuring out how to get information on the patio if there was one, and they are contacting their engineer to close out the outstanding order of conditions for additions. So they are working on it, and they just asked for a little more time.
I'll move for continuance for them.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous.
We give continuances pretty easily, but especially at 10 of 10.
Okay.
And
We're
Bridges
10.
Lane requests to
10 o'clock
continue
on noon.
to June.
Yeah, 113 Bridges to June.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous. We,
Bye.
good night. We have that, is this,
We have a decision?
this one valid? Amy,
Huh?
is this one,
Yes, that's ready. 230 Webster. We closed on that, so we can review that.
I think the bond is too low?
That's the usual discussion.
What do you think it should be, 4, 5? For pool?
What is the,
There was all kinds of, stuff around it, right?
What's that?
And they have to do a lot of work besides just the pool.
No, it was just apron and.
It's just the patio, walkway, and liner.
that's all?
That's all they're doing.
Okay,
It's
How
not-
much is the,
they're
how
not
much is the bond?
doing the superstructure
Gs.
or anything like that.
Huh?
$2,000.
$2,000, sir.
That's more than enough for this.
Okay.
No, we're still going.
No, we're still going.
Unfortunately, we're still.
We're getting there.
$2,000 don't get you very far. But, okay,
Did we move it as drafted?
Nope, not
We
yet.
just did.
Nope.
any questions?
Well,
No.
We talked
Motion?
about
we'll do it if it.
Motion,
Are you good with it?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
motion?
Motion to approve the orders of condition as drafted.
Second to approve the order.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.